the widely used non-contact thermometers are not accurate and have high probabilities for false negative readings. New COVID strands are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters most. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Don't wait. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
This whole wall needs to be shelving too. This is a focal point in our restaurant.
Leilani's new restaurant will have the largest wine cellar in the city.
Be a nice section.
She needs a robust sommelier with notes of procurement manager.
3 sections for France. I mean, this is the biggest.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Football fans, the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show is officially back. Every Sunday morning starting at 11:30 a.m., College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will be live at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. The guys will recap the biggest games from college football Saturday, including your Ohio State Buckeyes. The guys will also get you set up for the day's biggest NFL matchups, featuring your Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals, and more. It's the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show, live from Frickers on 741, Sunday mornings at 11:30 on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Happy Wednesday. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, brought to you by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Kev, happy Wednesday.
Good Wednesday to you.
Lots of things happening right now in the sports world, of course, as we just get a couple days away from the AFC Championship game. Again, the Cincinnati Bengals, after 31 straight years without a playoff victory, with a lot of playoff appearances sprinkled in throughout the couple decades span, finally put an end to that 31-year winless drought. And now we're not just talking about the Bengals in the divisional round of the playoffs. We're actually talking about, holy crap, by this point next week, we could be talking about the fact that we're less than 10 days away from the Bengals playing in a Super Bowl. So that's what's pretty crazy about all of this and how it's developed, and hearing how the Bengals are talked about nationally. When you talk about these potential, and not potential, but these championship matchups, the NFC and the AFC, it's clear when you hear the national media talk how, it's obviously the Rams and the Chiefs, and that's everyone's Super Bowl favorite as far as the matchup. Maybe not favorite as in that's their favorite matchup, but that's the favorite as far as the odds-on favorite Super Bowl matchup is the Chiefs and the Rams. You want to talk about a star-studded Super Bowl, right there. You have one team in the Chiefs that obviously built this little mini dynasty, if you will, completely through the draft. Their fortunes, of course, really turning. They were a good franchise to begin with in the playoffs with Alex Smith. They get, obviously Patrick Mahomes, and then they take it up a notch, and the rest is history. This is the fact that we're about to talk about a team that potentially is a game away from their third straight Super Bowl appearance. Outside of Tom Brady-led teams, that just doesn't happen within the last. We rarely see teams win it back-to-back. We rarely see teams get to back-to-back Super Bowls, and we're potentially talking about a team that has a chance to get there for the third straight season. If COVID and injuries don't decimate that offensive line a season ago, we could potentially be talking about Patrick Mahomes going for his third straight Super Bowl. Right. But I don't want to disrespect the Bengals and start talking about Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl because they have to get through Joe Burrow in the Bengals, a team that they've already lost to this season. But obviously, if the Bengals weren't involved in this, the matchup I would love to see as far as stardom is concerned is the Chiefs and the Rams. Talked about the Chiefs building it the right way, plugging holes with free agents, but ultimately drafting a team that has got to this point. And then you look at the Rams, who you have a team in the Chiefs that is put together all through draft picks, and then the other team is put together through draft picks, technically draft picks that were unloaded to get star-studded talent like Jalen Ramsey, to get Von Miller, to be able to get Matthew Stafford, to be able to get these stars to come to LA, and obviously be the team that is pretty much what we're used to seeing out of LA pro teams, and that's, well, cash-loaded teams.
Yeah.
Two different style of teams. The Bengals, another team built through the draft. That's a team that's been built through the draft, despite being criticized heavily for decision-making along the way, but here they are. Who's to say that they're wrong? Because right now they're also a game away from a Super Bowl appearance. If they get there, it is going to be interesting to see how the Niners, how the Bengals, how the Chiefs, three teams that all did it through the drafting route, how they fare against obviously a team like the Rams who did it the NBA route, the super roster route. I'm excited for these NFC AFC championship matchups because, again, four teams completely different. The Rams are loaded on both sides of the ball. The Niners are known for their defense. They don't have the best quarterback in the world, but he all he does is win. In the Super Bowl 2 years ago, he's injured and out last year. His team doesn't even make the playoffs. He's back. His team's winning again. They're winning in the playoffs, a game away from a Super Bowl. It's a strange thing going on right there with Jimmy Garoppolo, but here the Niners are. I can't wait for these matchups. I don't know who's going to end up being in the Super Bowl. I want to say Bengals Niners for that storyline. Chiefs Rams would be fantastic. I'm dreading watching Joe Burrow go up against Aaron Donald and Von Miller, to be quite honest with you. I mean, my goodness. I mean, his career, it could be an Andrew Luck situation if that's the case. But my goodness, this is a fun time of year right here. It's bittersweet, though.
Yes, that is the perfect phrase.
Yes, bittersweet. The season's almost over.
There's only 3 games left. There's only 3 games left until, the last week of August, if you want to count high school football.
Don't be disrespectful. We got the Pro Bowl coming up.
Oh yeah, the Pro Bowl. What else? You got the Senior Bowl. You got all those balls. Got spring football and everything like that. But let's be real. This is the last 3 games of meaningful. Everybody's going to be watching football. Everybody's going to be locked in. Spring football, you'll be on a golf course somewhere.
Oh, most likely. I mean,
and I'll be riding my bike.
I worked from home pretty much. I didn't leave my house until about 2:20ish today. I was, I had the dogs all around me. I had the TV on. I had my laptop in front of me. I did not leave the couch all day today because when my fiance told me how cold it was walking in her car today, I'm like, I have zero interest in even stepping out into the cold. But it actually felt pretty warm. I mean, it's a very warm 19 degrees outside right now. I felt pretty damn good walking outside. So I've been hiding for no reason. But yes, I can't wait for it to warm up to be back out on the golf course.
Oh, man, sure. I can't wait. I can't wait at all for it to warm up. Because I despise the cold, but that's a story for another day.
So Mike Haywood on Facebook says, gotta love a team that's lost to a team 6 straight times and twice this year being the favorite. I'm assuming you're talking. Which team is he talking about? The Rams or the Chiefs?
Niners beat the Rams twice.
The Niners,
this year.
Yeah, the Niners have had their number the way they have the Packers number, but really it all comes down to because they have defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that, the Rams and the Niners, we talk a lot about the offense for the Rams, but honestly, it's that defense of the Rams. You have Jalen Ramsey, you have Aaron Donald, you have Von Miller. I mean, you have weapons all over the place as far as that Rams defense is concerned, but we all know that it's complemented perfectly with Cooper Kupp and with Matthew Stafford and just that offensive line. They're a loaded roster, that's for sure. But I get it. Gotta love, so when Mike Haywood says, gotta love a team that's lost to a team 6 straight times and twice this year being the favorite. It is strange, though, how playoff football, how drastically teams are built for the Rams are built for the playoffs. They were built to wear you out during the regular season. You knew, like the Buccaneers, too. The Bucs were built for the playoffs. These rosters filled with all these veterans, Kev, they're built for the playoffs. The youth rosters, that's why they're kicking ass in the regular season. And they're like, hey, we just need to get in the playoffs. We'll take care of the rest when we get there. Talking about these veteran teams. The Rams are built for this. The Rams are built to win this game on Sunday, and they're built to win this Super Bowl. And they're the only team that I look at as Super Bowl or bust. Although if the Niners get there for a second time, I would kind of put the pressure on them too, that they have to win. I mean, that's Garoppolo's it would be his second Super Bowl appearance. I think that the pressure would be on whoever comes out of the NFC. I think the NFC is Super Bowl or bust. I think the Chiefs are Super Bowl or bust. The Bengals are, holy crap, like, I can't believe you're there. you want to win it, of course,
Right.
but I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't end up, hoisting up that trophy at the end. But I think the other teams are built to have a Super Bowl or bust expectation as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, Rams for sure, Super Bowl or bust. I would definitely put Kansas City in that Super Bowl or bust situation. When you have a quarterback as elite as Patrick Mahomes is, and that big time contract that he signed is about to really start kicking in. Travis Kelce, even though he's one of the best tight ends of all time, he's going to be a Hall of Famer and everything like that. He's no spring chicken. Tyreek Hill, he'll be up for another contract very soon. Andy Reid's not a spring chicken. So, they want to get as many championships as they can out of this core group while they can. So I would definitely put them in a Super Bowl or bust situation because they were in the big game last year and they failed to the defending, for now, champions, the Bucs and everything like that. So they want to get another chance at the apple and get there and win it. And then when you look at the Niners, for me, I get a little, I don't want to say they're Super Bowl or bust, but because a lot of their core pieces have changed. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is still there. A lot of pieces from that defense are still there, but all their offensive weapons have changed. Deebo Samuels wasn't on that team. That was a team that was led by Emmanuel Sanders at the wide receivers with the Bills now. So a lot of pieces have changed since their last
and that was a midseason trade piece too. That was a huge addition to that Niners team that year.
Absolutely. And then obviously the Cincinnati Bengals, like them getting off that playoff schneid. That's thumbs up. Them even making to the playoffs is super thumbs up. Now that you got the playoff win, that's 2 thumbs up. And to be perfectly honest, I think they're playing with house money right now. Obviously, everybody in that locker room, including the players, training staff, coaches, GM, ownership, they want to win. And they're like, we're here now. Why not us? Why not go ahead and take advantage of this opportunity and cash in and go to the Super Bowl and potentially win it? So they will be, quote unquote, last in the pressure rankings to win it all. And that's a dangerous place for Kansas City because there's no doubt about how much talent, especially offensively, the Cincinnati Bengals have from the wide receivers, from the trigger man and Joe Burrow and everything. And then the playmakers they have on the defensive side of the ball. If the defense continues to make plays when they need them, like, look, man, like my whole thing about when the Steelers played the Chiefs in the first round of the playoffs, I was like, well, they're going to need to get interception. Check. They're going to need to get a defensive score. Check. So the Steelers were up 7-0 second quarter. And then Patrick Mahomes just started finding dudes wide open. Travis Kelce started running those crazy option routes. And then it was all she wrote. But the Cincinnati Bengals kind of have the same formula. If they're able to deter Kansas City from scoring touchdowns, hold them to field goal attempts, get an interception, get a defensive touchdown, the Cincinnati Bengals, have enough firepower to beat them. And another thing that I thought about as you were talking about that note that we got in on Facebook, the Rams lost to the Niners twice, their favorites. Kansas City lost to the Bengals, their favorites. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to think about, like, the teams that you've already beat, you're still underdog to. And I believe the Bengals are like 7.5 point underdog.
Yeah, let me pull up what the actual line was. But yeah, they're a touchdown. The Chiefs are a touchdown favorite. And like, let's not act like home field advantage. I mean, I don't remember what the line was when they played at Cincinnati a few weeks ago, but like playoff football is just drastically different. I'm not saying, and this is where I'm going to get ripped apart, but I'm saying this earlier when I said this about teams being built for the regular season versus being built for the postseason. I think that the Bengals have enough on both sides of the ball that they were built for both. I think they were built for the regular season, of course, especially with Joe Burrow in that offense. They had just enough playmakers on defense to create chaos, and that's what makes them interesting in the postseason. They're not the best equipped defense, Kev, but my goodness, between the pass rushers and the and the linebacker play, honestly, Logan Wilson, the linebacker, is one reason why the Bengals are in this situation right now. Because, I mean, who's the best linebacker group right now in these remaining 4? Linebacker play is just not as star-studded as it once was. The NFL used to be all about the linebackers. Now it's about the
Tampa Bay had the best linebackers with Levante David and those guys, but
I like the Bengals
out.
Group. I know there's good players all over the place, but honestly, I think the linebacker play is really what has closed the gap on the Bengals defense at this point, which is all the turnovers that they forced, obviously, in the secondary, just enough playmakers to force turnovers. You got to think of the interception to clinch the game against the Raiders, the interception to set up the game-winning field goal for McPherson, obviously against this past weekend against the Titans. It's it's been the turnovers. It's been the ability to force turnovers and put the ball in good field position so that the Bengals have been able to capitalize and take advantage. So at this point, that's really what makes them it. They were built for the regular season and postseason. The Chiefs at the end, I think you're going to see a different Chiefs team against Cincinnati than you did in that last couple weeks of the regular season. Their eyes are all on the postseason. Mm-hmm. The Bengals right now are where Patrick Mahomes was just 2 years ago, where every week was exciting. Every opportunity to be out on the football field was an opportunity. The Chiefs are bored with the regular season. If they have guys that are banged up, they're going to rest some weeks that they maybe wouldn't have rested in weeks past because they know that the games that matter are coming up. And, the fact that they have home field advantage, the fact that they had home field against Buffalo, the fact that they have home field against Cincinnati, I think you're going to see everyone's like, well, how could they be such a big favorite against Cincinnati? Cincinnati just beat them and went toe-to-toe with them. Yes, you had them at home. You had them late in the season. I think Kansas City, though, there's just a switch that they flip around this time of the year, and we've seen it the last couple of weeks. I'm not saying they're going to blow out Cincinnati. It wouldn't surprise me if they did, but it wouldn't surprise me if Cincinnati makes a game of this either. I just think that Patrick Mahomes is getting that he's getting that star treatment. The Chiefs are getting that dynasty treatment. They're getting that Tom Brady treatment. Bengals need to stop being so offended by everything about point spreads and about coverage and about that's being said, because there's been a lot of bad things that have been said about this Bengals team for years now. There's been a lot of point spreads that have not made sense in regards to who this Bengals team is this year. Stop complaining about that stuff. That's not going to change anything. This team has just proved people wrong all season. And you guys are offended because the point spread. You're offended because of the national coverage. You're offended because Vegas has put out that this is the worst team of the four that are remaining. Who cares? Is there such thing as the worst team of the four that are remaining? I mean, you're one of the best four teams remaining. Who cares? This is coming from me, who has found every reason to nitpick this Bengals team. I'm just like, who cares what the point spread is? Who cares what national media is saying? Who cares what Kenner freaking has to say if it's negative? Of course, when I say positive things, you guys go on goo gaga all over the damn thing. But the point is, this team just has to keep doing what they do. And every week I keep waiting to see Joe Burrow look like the lights are too bright for him. No, he just seems more locked in those moments. I mean, that Titans game, they had no business winning, Kev. He was just getting his ass beat, and he kept getting up. And he kept stepping right up to that line of scrimmage with confidence. And every hit that he took before, that didn't get in his head to keep him from making a play the next time down the field. Right. We talked about that all week. That's going to be one thing to keep in mind, not just against this Chiefs team, but if they go up against the Rams or the Niners pass rush in the Super Bowl, that's another thing that you have to feel good about. That despite that bad O-line, he has that toughness. And it's not the physical toughness, Kevin, it's that mental toughness. Tom Brady's physically tough, but Tom Brady became mentally weak at times, as crazy as it sounds. It's about Tom Brady. When he gets hit, he becomes mentally weak. It changes how he plays physically. Joe Burrow's mentally strong and physically strong, and that's why he's been able to overcome some of the, obviously the offensive line issues. But I'm excited for this matchup. What did you think about the Tom Brady flag? I was blown away that Tom Brady got a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Sunday. They gave him leeway in the mouth. Well, they gave him leeway. They always let him have that outburst. Mm-hmm. But as the ref was walking away and he kept following him, and then he dropped some, non-approved words, I mean, that's going to get you every time. I mean, I think the referees are like, okay, we know it's Tom Brady. We know he's pissed. But I don't care who you are, if you're pursuing an official, if you're walking hip for hip with him as he's trying to walk away from you, you're going to get that flag thrown on you every single time. But looked very NBA. Very NBA-like. And he wanted that LeBron treatment. He didn't get it. Normally he does. Wasn't their day until it almost became their day. All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Shaw's upset because he goes, work outside and tell me it's warm. Man, he has to argue with me on everything. Never fails. All I said is I thought it would be colder. I walked outside. It actually felt pretty good. I was expecting to just have this uncomfortable feeling. It felt pretty good. I stood outside for a little bit. Better than me. But now he's upset because work outside and tell me it's warm. Okay, sorry. It's cold. I won't go outside anymore. But 518-1410, we'll step away for a few moments. I do want to get into this on the other side because I found this interesting in the chat section, Kev. You have some fans kind of going back and forth. Kenny Smith is a Browns fan. Kenny Smith says, go Chiefs. Mark Smith counters with, why the Chiefs? Because, he says, why Chiefs? You're a Browns fan. So then he counters with, Kev, he can never root for Cincinnati. He cannot root for Cincinnati. I thought we were going to step away for a few, but I want to keep it here because I'm curious. I am curious how people are approaching this. I do know for me, I'm torn because I don't like Cincinnati. I can't stand Joe Burrow. I can't stand the Cincinnati Bengals. That's the Cleveland Brown fan in me speaking. But as a sports radio host doing a show an hour away from Cincinnati right now, I am kind of pulling for Cincinnati. The sports radio host in me is pulling for Cincinnati for that very reason. But if I didn't work in sports radio, I'd be so against Cincinnati right now. If I didn't have a sports radio show, I would be anti-Cincinnati. I would not be doing the whole, Ohio, 1 for 1 and 1 for... No. I'm curious fans' thought process on this, though. How many of you Browns fans or non-Bengals fans listening to the show, Kev, you're a non-Bengals fan. How many of you out there are actually pulling for Cincinnati this weekend? How many of you are actually pulling for Cincinnati to get to the Super Bowl? That's what I'm curious about. I'm giving the safe answer. The sports radio host in me is pulling for Cincinnati because it's content. It's fun to talk about. It's great with the interaction with listeners and everything. But the Browns fan in me, if I was fired today, man, I would be all anti-Cincinnati. I'd be all anti-Joe Burrow. You think I bring up the fact that he hasn't thrown a touchdown in 6 quarters a lot now? You just wait until I get fired from here. I'll be bringing it up all the time. 2 years from now. Remember that time Joe Burrow to throw a touchdown for 6 straight quarters? It'll just all become spewing out because it's been backed up for so long. But 518-1410, Browns fans, I do want to hear from you. Steelers fans, Ravens fans, I don't care what your team is. You live in Ohio. Are you pulling for Cincinnati? That's what I'm curious about. 518-1410, Russell, live on Facebook on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Kev, you're a Steelers fan. You could use the same excuse as me. Technically, you're allowed to say the sports radio host in me, as Kev Nash, is pulling for the Bengals, but as a Steelers fan, I hope they lose. It's okay to use that. It's a shield. Use it.
This is very tough. This is very tough because obviously Joe Burrow, I've been rooting for Joe Burrow since I saw him in his high school days, and I found out he was going to The Ohio State University and be our quarterback. Unfortunately for Joe, he was third string for 3 years at Ohio State, so he had to take his talents down to good old LSU, and then went and led them to a national championship, and then won himself a Heisman Trophy, and then went first in the draft, and now he's a Cincinnati Bengal. And me being a true black and yellow fan, I don't root for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I do have a lot of good friends that are Cincinnati Bengals fans. So I pull for them to be happy. But then on the flip side, there's Travis Kelce. He plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. Did I mention Travis Kelce went to my high school? Did I mention he donated a ton of money to my high school? So I am torn. I am very torn in this situation, man. So I guess I'm rooting for the Cincinnati Bengals. I guess I'm rooting for the Bengals. I'll never do their chant or anything like that, but I'll root for the Bengals. I'm pulling for the Bengals. Go Cincinnati. Rah.
Wow.
Rah.
518-1410. That's the number to call in. I'm curious how this goes because I have, and Bengals fans who are annoyed with Browns fans not pulling for them. I do recall last year, I don't think there were any Bengals fans saying, man, I'm pulling for Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Our team's not in the playoffs. I'm pulling for Baker Mayfield and the Browns. All of you were constantly reminding me and all Browns fans that, well, yeah, you beat Pittsburgh, but you beat a bad Pittsburgh team. Pittsburgh was 11-0 and still barely made the playoffs. You guys constantly had to remind the Browns and their fans that, hey, you guys didn't you guys didn't win a whole hell of a lot. You guys, you didn't beat the Cleveland Browns, or you didn't beat the good Pittsburgh Steelers team. You didn't beat that. That's not your Steelers team from 5 years ago. That's the old beat up Big Ben Steelers team. You Bengals fans made it miserable for Browns fans to try to enjoy their success last year, not just getting a win in the not just making the playoffs, but getting a win in the playoffs at Pittsburgh on the road against Ben Roethlisberger. Oh no, you had to remind everybody. You had to make sure Browns fans were miserable. But now Bengals fans, a lot of them are upset because there's a lot of Browns fans who are trying to discredit what they're doing. Like I said, I pointed this out the other day, Kev. That Jimmy Garoppolo, here are the quarterbacks he had to go through to get to the NFC title game. Jimmy Garoppolo had to beat Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers. All right. Matthew Stafford had to beat Kyler Murray and the Tom Brady. All right. How about Patrick Mahomes? He had to beat Big Ben and Josh Allen. And then who did Joe Burrow have to? Oh, yeah, Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill. Whew. There's 5 interceptions combined between those two quarterbacks alone that he went up against. Now, that's not me saying that. This is just what me as a Browns fan, if I wasn't in sports radio, would be saying if I wanted to discredit what you guys are actually accomplishing. If you look at the teams that the others have had to face to get to this point, I mean, you guys have been fairly fortunate. And don't try to wave the Titans are a 1 seed in my face. Really, no one took the Titans as a 1 seed being too serious. Like they respected obviously Derrick Henry and stuff, but everyone was like, then yeah, I'll take my chances against the Titans. I think anyone, if you had to pick of all the AFC teams you wanted to play in the postseason, every one of you would pick the Titans over the Chiefs or the Bills, as far as I'm concerned. So it is what it is. But the bottom line is that's how Bengals fans treated the Browns fans. So Browns fans, I get it. You're not cheering for the Bengals, but some people do. Some people who are not Bengals fans are pulling for the Bengals for the All-Ohio thing. But 518-1410, that's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. And it's too bad that I don't have this music lined up. Oh, wait, yes, I do. The one, the only. This is the perfect guy to call in to talk about this exact topic right here. Is Steve from Springboro, the true American. Will you be pulling for the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend, dude?
Are you serious? If you really want to ask me that? Can you speak for me personally and know that ain't happening? This all Ohio crap. The Bengals fans can stick it where the sun don't shine. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Both times when the Bungholes were in the Super Bowl, I was the biggest 49er fan ever. And a true Browns fan would never give anybody any credit from that pole down there on the river, that Pop Warner team. I don't even like the ball boy, and I don't even know his name. Real quick, Kenny Smith, if you're listening, Kenny and I went to school together, man.
No kidding? Where'd you guys go to high school together?
Valley View.
And did you have a Browns backers club there?
No, but we do know how to play football. The credit to, and you have to because you covered the G-Walk and all that. But they had one hell of a run back in the 90s, 3 state titles. We know how to farm and play football. Those are 2 good things we can do out there. And you coming from a rural school probably can appreciate that. Real quick, I'm fixing up, Kenny, if you're listening, dude, give me a call. I'm fixing up some, I ordered them special. I had my son-in-law order them from Kansas City. They're Kansas City ribs, dude. And I even ordered the extra hot Mahomey sauce to go on it, dude. They'll be really good. We'll eat them up, sit there and watch Kansas City kick Cincinnati's ass. Go Browns. Woo, woo, woo.
Did you expect anything less?
Oh, that's exactly what I
did. I wish we would have kept him on a little longer. I mean, but I did kind of want to know Steve from Springboro's thoughts on it. I mean, it's okay to have, bad opinions about the Bengals, but let's be honest. They're a game away from a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, there comes a certain point, and this is even for me, who takes a lot of shots at the Bengals, but there comes a certain point where you kind of have to realize, okay, this team they're pissing me off, and not for the reasons they used to. It's for the reasons that because they keep proving me wrong. We did the hashtag Kinner was wrong yesterday. You had hours of clips of me being wrong. You shrunk it down to 2 minutes. I mean, my goodness, at some point, even a Steve from Springboro has to acknowledge that, okay, this team is actually doing some pretty cool stuff. Now, he'll never tell you that, and I completely understand it, but I tell you what, we'll step away for a few moments. 518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. Didn't even mean to get into this today, but you fans caught my attention in the chat section. You had Kenny Smith kind of saying, he's going for the Chiefs. He's not pulling for the Bengals. He wants them to lose. Steve from Springboro, Browns fan, wants them to lose. If you're not a Bengals fan, but you're from Ohio, obviously, you're listening to the show here in Ohio, you going for the Bengals? You pulling for the Bengals? Or do you have a very strict fandom rule of, hey, they're not my team, I want them to lose? 518-1410. Let's hear from you. We'll be back in just 3 minutes.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0.9% financing on the 22 Honda Pilot, Honda Passport, and Honda HR-V, and as low as 1.9% financing on all other 22 Hondas while supplies last. We can get the Honda you're looking for. We are taking deposits on current scheduled in-build 22 Hondas every day. See me, sales manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
CSX Transportation is an industry leader on the move. The railroad company has immediate openings for freight train conductors. Join the CSX team and start your paid-on-the-job training today, earning nearly $25 per hour with no degree required. If you're safety-focused with a passion for great service, you've got what it takes to move your career forward at CSX. Apply at csx.com/careers. That's csx.com/careers. CSX is an equal opportunity employer.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
March Madness and the Big Hoopla are back in Dayton with the 2022 NCAA First Four Men's Basketball Tournament, Tuesday, March 15 and Wednesday, March 16. Experience the madness live at UD Arena, following all protocols to ensure a safe and great time by all. The road starts here, March 15th and 16th at UD Arena. America's most passionate college basketball fans. Get your tickets and donate to be a part of our mission at DaytonHoopla.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? With nights getting longer, it might be time to refresh your headlights. You'll see better and drive safer. Why not try Sylvania Silver Star Ultra bulbs? They have the furthest down road light, and right now you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or free next-day delivery. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Hey, Carrie, we need that tax report by tomorrow. Hey, Bobby, give me that expenses.
For Hari's accounting firm, client growth is exponential.
We're a couple of accountants short.
He needs whip-smart accountants at whiplash speed.
Hey, so why aren't these receivables matching up?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Bring new life to your home with Lithonia Lighting. The Lithonia Lighting 6-inch new construction recessed housing features airtight construction and has a galvanized steel junction box that includes push-in connectors for easy wiring. The expandable bar hangers allow for off-center mounting in wood joists or T-bar ceilings. The Lithonia Lighting new construction recessed housing is only $6.99 during Menards More Bang for Your Buck sale. Price is good now through February 6th.
Save big money at Menards.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Hear that Bengal growling, mean and angry. Here he comes a prowling.
Yes, the Cincinnati Bengals a game away from the Super Bowl after 31 years without a playoff victory. The Bengals have collected quite a few playoff victories here in the 2021-2022 playoff run. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. And my favorite thing about sports is because I'm 32 years old, but I still act like a child. I love trash talk. I love when people are kind of, going back and forth. I love drama. I have no clue. Maybe that's why I like reality TV. I don't know. It's a problem, but I'm not going to change my ways. It is what it is. I love sitting back and watching other people argue. It's kind of a good time, as long as they're not arguing with me, which that I'm used to as well. But Bengals fans, Browns fans are going at one another. They're not happy with one another right now. And I get it that, the Browns fans coming across a little jealous. Steve from Springboro. I mean, it could be, people could be, it can confuse his takes with things, Kev, as jealousy. So within the chat section, and I'm not accusing Steve from Springboro of that. David Shaw on Facebook said that Steve from Springboro's opinions all come from jealousy of the Cincinnati Bengals. David Shaw said about Steve from Springboro that Steve from Springboro, the true American, is actually really a Bengals fan, but he has to pretend to be a Browns fan because he doesn't know how to, basically cope with his feelings of the Bengals being a game away from a Super Bowl. I don't know what's going on there. I thought Shaw and him were friends. I don't know what's going on. Those two have apparently turned on one another, Kev. I got nothing. But for those of you who missed it, we asked, there was some Browns fans saying they're going for the Chiefs. Bengals fans mad at this Browns fan in the chat because, well, why are you going for the Chiefs for? You should hate the Chiefs just as much as you hate the Bengals. You never root for Cincinnati is what this individual said. Kenny Smith, Browns fan Kenny Smith, going at Mark Smith in the chat. He's going at, I see Jake Whiting and Waylon Turner. I mean, they're just back and forth, which is fine. I like it. I sit back, I watch the drama unfold. But I asked, if you are not a Bengals fan and your team is not in the playoffs, are you pulling for the Bengals? We all live in Ohio. Are you pulling for Cincinnati because, oh man, they're an Ohio team? Maybe you're pulling for Cincinnati because you're a fan of Joe Burrow, or maybe your college team has some players on this team, and that you're going for
Von Bell.
Von Bell. Maybe you go
Eli Apple.
So I get it. There's lots of reasons you could be going for Cincinnati. There's lots of reasons you could be rooting against Cincinnati. Here's Steve from Springboro who just called in. Take a listen to this.
Isaiah Prince on the Bengals too.
I mean, it's in 08. I mean, former Buckeye Joe Burrow that Buckeye media loves to take credit for. I mean, it's unbelievable. Steve from Springboro, he's not going to be pulling for the Cincinnati Bengals. Take a listen. The one, the only. This is the perfect guy to call in to talk about this exact topic right here. Is Steve from Springboro, the true American. Will you be pulling for the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend, dude?
Are you serious? If you really want to ask me that? Because you can speak for me personally and know that ain't happening. This all Ohio crap. The Bengals fans can stick it where the sun don't shine. Balls. I'm gonna tell you something. Both times when the Bungholes were in the Super Bowl, I was the biggest 49er fan ever, and a true Browns fan would never give anybody any credit from that hole down there on the river, that Pop Warner team. I don't even like the ball boy, and I don't even know his name.
That's real quick. I don't even like the ball boy, and I don't even know his name. That's the quote of the show so far. Steve from Springboro, he's bringing it, Kev.
So before he hung up, I really wanted to ask him this question, and maybe some of our older listeners can answer it for me. So obviously that the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, were created and brought to existence by Paul Brown, named after himself. And then after Art Modell fired him, he went on to create the Cincinnati Bengals. And now, obviously, his son owns the team. So is there any connection there? Is there anything there that would make you want to root for them? Because, I mean, hey, man, it's the same guy came up with both teams. Is there anything there? Or are you just everything against Cincinnati? No love for the nasty natty?
Well, it reminds me a little bit of, when Michigan made the college football playoff, Buckeye fans, it was quite a pickle to be in because you hate Nick Saban, you hate Alabama. Alabama's the program you strive to be, and Ohio State's as great as they are, they're not. So it was kind of painful, like Ohio State fans had to root for Alabama, right? And then some were like, oh, no, I'm pulling for Michigan because it's Big Ten. That's how much I hate Alabama. I mean, they were quite a pickle. Then you'd hear people say, well, I'm not going for either of those teams. I'm going for the Bearcats. Well, the same people that were pulling for the Cincinnati Bearcats in the college football playoff all of a sudden cannot pull for the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL playoffs just because your team's not in it. It's the compartmentalizing that I find fascinating on how people justify pulling for certain teams. It's interesting. That's all. It absolutely is. Now,
so your justification is for the show's purpose.
Yeah, but I'm going to come at you. I've always said too, like, I don't try to pretend to be super radio guy. Like I'm not the most polished radio host. I know I should be, but I'm not. But I'm ultimately a fan. That's how I relate to our listeners. Is at the end of the day, everyone always asks me, Kenner, not a lot of radio hosts argue on social media the way you do. You constantly are arguing with people. And I'm like, because before I was a radio host, I was a fan. And I was also that fan that was constantly arguing with people on social media. The whole reason I'm doing this is because at the end of the day, I fell in love with sports because I'm a fan. I'm 5'5" and fat. I'm not an athlete. So at the end of the day, I'm not above our listeners. You can't look at me. I love when athletes say, well, he never played anything. I'm not pretending to, but I have an opinion. And when my opinions are your opinions, they're okay. But when I have an opinion that's not yours, you have a problem with it. But I'm a fan at the end of the day. So that's why I'm saying the sports radio host in me is pulling for the Bengals because of content, because of, we come to the show and we come to this mic every day and get to have fun with the possibility of the Bengals winning a Super Bowl. But if I was not in sports radio, Kev, I would be not as out there as Steve from Springboro, but I would be Steve from Springboro Jr. probably. I would be, I don't say brother.
Your name is JR now.
Yeah, I'm just saying Junior. True American Junior, if you will. If I wasn't in sports radio, that would be me. I understand where he's coming from. You just hate that team. Joe Burrow drops back, throws a touchdown. Been a while. Drops back, throw a touchdown. You hate it. I hate it. The fan in me, the host in me is like, okay, this is great talking point. I know the Bengals fans are gonna be giving me crap because Joe Burrow's looking good. So that's where I'm coming from. Everyone has their different reasons for why they are pulling for the Bengals, even as Browns fans or Steelers fans or just maybe a Patriots fan. I don't know. But the same reason that people are pulling for the Bengals are the same reason some people aren't pulling for the Bengals. Maybe they hate Patrick Mahomes. They hate his TikTok brother. They find his wife annoying. You know what I mean? Like, it's little things. Everyone has a reason. Sometimes it's petty. Hey, I'm going to go, if Alabama would have played anybody, people were pulling for Georgia in the college football national championship game. They hate the SEC, but they hate Nick Saban more. So people were going for Georgia more. Like, that's, what I mean? Everyone compartmentalizes how they go for an opponent that's necessarily not their team. That's all.
I root for good games. Entertain me.
Bumper sticker material every time.
Entertain me for 3 hours, and I'll be a happy camper.
So, Kenny Smith says Cincinnati Stadium is named after us.
Paul Brown.
So there's that. Mark Smith says, Justin, Kenny's a bigger fan of the Browns than you are. Kenny counters with, I probably am the number one Browns fan in the area. I'm not here to have a contest.
Challenge!
Fan. I'm 32 years old. What, do I need to have a whole basement dedicated to the Cleveland Browns? I need to paint my walls orange. And
your office is painted like the Buckeyes. Man up.
That was a promotion we did for Certa Pro Painters, which they did a kick-ass job, by the way. Like, I am thinking, you know what? That's a counterpoint right there. Yeah, I was thinking about making the man cave a Buckeye room downstairs, but no.
Do your bedroom brown. See how Nora feels about that.
Yeah, I'll probably lose that battle. Let's just be clear. Randy on Facebook says, as a casual football fan, but a diehard Reds fan, I am pulling for the Reds neighbors on the river. So there you go. Again, everyone's having their reason for how they're going about doing this. Jason Payne on Facebook says, as a Niners fan, I won't take any team in my division ever, period. So see, I think this exists more. Like, people who are getting mad at Browns fans for not pulling for Cincinnati just because they're within your division or within your state. I think that's kind of silly. Worry about who you root for. No one was pulling for the Browns last year that was not Browns fans. So why do Bengals fans need preferential treatment? Why do I need to like the Bengals? Because they have Joe Burrow and they're a feel-good story. Cleveland was a feel-good story a year ago.
Yeah, I don't think
quarterback's not as likable or as good, but I mean, maybe that was it. I don't know.
I doubt that the San Francisco 49ers fans were rooting for the Oakland Raiders last time they were in the Super Bowl and vice versa. I'm sure the Oakland Raiders fans or Raiders fans in general don't root for the Niners. And whoever wins this game on Sunday between the Rams and 49ers, they're in the same state. Are they going to say, oh, man, it's all about California love. Let's go for whoever's from California to win the Super Bowl. I don't think they get down like that out there in Cali.
518-1410. Kev, who we have?
We got Big Mike online, too.
Big Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you holding, sir. What do you have for us today?
Well, I've been my whole life been a Bengals fan. I actually had season tickets last time they went to the Super Bowl. So, yes, I'm an old guy. But when the Browns were playing the Steelers in the playoffs, I was pulling for the Browns.
Now, is that what was your reasoning? Was it because you hate the Steelers? Because that's what we got a lot of last year is I hate the Browns, I hate the Steelers, but I hate the Steelers more. And that's how, some people justified it, or some people justified it. Well, the Browns are an Ohio team last year, so that's why we pulled for them. What was your justification for it?
A combo of both.
A combo, and that's fair. There's no wrong answers here. I get mad at people that try to tell you how to be a fan. Like Steve from Springboard, I love the guy to death, but he tries to tell people how they could be fans. I'm like, no, and you're not doing that. But I don't think there's a right or wrong way to be fans. You do you.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a first-time caller, and I love your show. Kev, I think you are the voice of logic and reason. Because Justin, I think you can go off the rails a little bit, which I totally enjoy, and I love it when people get you all fired up. And you come right back at them. I think it's great.
They started. Just remember, I like how you worded that. I respond to them.
Appreciate the kind words, Mike.
No, I'm just saying, like I said, I really enjoy the show. I don't get a chance to talk that often to you guys since it is my first time. But, yeah, my son played at Centerville. He got a scholarship to a Big Ten school. And so I went through all the recruiting stuff. And he got to play in the 100th Rose Bowl and a couple Cotton Bowls. And we had a blast with it, man. It was really cool.
How long ago?
The 100th Rose Bowl was 13? My son went to Centerville and got a scholarship to Michigan State.
Not bad. Very cool.
What's your son's name?
Benny McGowan.
Oh, makes sense.
There we go.
Yep.
It's all tied in together.
Well, there you go.
Okay, the Michigan State game where they flubbed the punt and we returned it for a touchdown. Benny started that game. It was awesome.
Nice.
Hey, real quick while we have you, I mean, with your son playing in the Big Ten back in the day, but there's talks of the Big Ten kind of getting rid of divisions and kind of shaping up like the Big 12 does it. Could potentially have Michigan, Ohio State, back-to-back weeks potentially from time to time. Who knows how that's all going to pan out? Do you like the divisions in the Big Ten, or do you want to see them do it how the Big 12 does it?
You know what? It's college football is just evolving so much with the NIL stuff and everything. It's just totally different than when he was playing there, man. I mean, he didn't have the chance to go anywhere else, and he didn't have a chance to make any money off of it. So it's just evolving, man.
All right. Well, Big Mike, thank you so much for listening. Appreciate the kind words, and we hope to hear more of you.
Oh, you will hear from me, sir. Thank you. See you, Kev.
Later.
Voice of reason.
Hey, I like Big Mike. And did I mention Mel Tucker went to my high school, the head coach for Michigan State football?
Did I mention high school?
Travis Kelce. His brother Jason Kelce as well. He's a Super Bowl champion as well.
518-1410. I mean, and so here's an interesting one. So Mike Haywood says, I'll never root for the Rams as a 49ers fan. We're trying to figure out how people are justifying who their alliance is with this weekend. I'm a Browns fan. The radio host in me is pulling for the Bengals, but the Browns fan in me is big time Patrick Mahomes fan. I'll find one of his brother's TikTok videos and I'll match it to when the Chiefs win on Sunday. That's the fan in me, but the radio host in me is like, come on, who day, and all that stuff. So there you go. But so Mike Haywood says, I'll never root for the Rams as a 49ers fan. And I think that's common. Like, I can't pull for the Steelers. I can't pull for the Ravens. I can't pull for the Bengals as a Browns fan. So I get that. And I don't think that makes me or anyone a wrong person. I don't like to tell people how to be fans, by the way. Like, everyone has their own reasons for why they do it. So, like, for me as an NBA fan, I don't have a team allegiance. Like, when the Cavs are good, I don't care if that makes me sound like a bandwagon type fan, but when the Cavs are good, I'm interested in them. But really, who's honestly, unless you're from Cleveland like you, who's a diehard Cleveland?
Unfortunately, I am.
Like, when you ask people who your NFL team, I'm a Browns fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm a Bengals fan. Oh, man, I'm a big-time Niners fan. Ask people who their NBA teams are. You'll get a lot of, I like the Cavs. And it's very just, very like, I like the Cavs. Like,
ask them now. Ask them now.
I like the Cavs. Garland. Yeah, baby. Kevin Love is back, man. Like, you get that a lot. So that's what I find. I'm not going to tell you how to be a fan. For me, you ask me who my NBA team is. I don't really have one. I'm fans of players. Like, I'm a big LeBron fan. LeBron's on, I'm watching. LeBron's on, I'm watching. Zion Williamson, when that big mofo was back, sometime next, decade, I can't wait to watch him back out on the floor. Ja Morant, can't watch the game. Not a Memphis Grizzlies fan, but that's the only sport I'm like that with as far as that's concerned. But the Browns or the Bengals are a game away from the Super Bowl. All right, it's one thing to talk about them in the playoffs, but a game away from a Super Bowl, all these fans around here, some Bengals, some not. I'm trying to figure out how people are justifying who their alliance is with this weekend. Jake Whiting says, look, as Joe Mixon said, we don't need you to believe or like us. We got us in, just happy to be here. Well, Jake, that's fine. Jake, and I like you, Mr. Eagles fan, but your fan base is one of the biggest crybaby fan bases I've ever met. You are the most sensitive fan base, one of the most sensitive fan bases I've ever come across. So I know you're trying to say the right thing, like, well, we don't need you to cheer for us. We don't like you. That's totally fine. But, like, my gosh, if you even say, man, I think the Bengals could improve here, people jump on you and say, well, they're really good. They're blah, 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 blah. They're a game away from it. Stop. Your fan base is absolutely unbearable at times. So like that's all I'm trying to say is that's cool that you're saying that, but I don't think that's the common approach from your fan base. Your fan base gets offended at everything. Everything. Mark Smith says, we don't need Browns fans, Kev. Don't even respect us. That's fine. However, they're playing and your team's not. They're in Cabo while the Bengals have a chance to hoist a trophy. Like I said, thank the NFL's COVID testing protocols. I'm with you. I mean, all of a sudden COVID doesn't exist in the playoffs. I'm with you. I'm just saying. Cabo, go step outside right now. Cabo sounds pretty damn good right about now.
Facts.
All right, Kev, 518-1410. Who's next?
We got Chicago Brian on line 3.
Chicago Brian, how are you? Yeah, I didn't think so. And now we have Gordon, you said?
Yes, Gordon on line 4.
Gordon, what's up? We lost Gordon too, Kev. I mean, they're dropping like flies. They're dropping like AFC North teams out of the playoffs. I mean, just left and right, all over. But 518-1410. Let's go to Robert. Robert, how are you?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. You?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I don't root for Cleveland, because I'm a Bengals fan and stuff. But please tell Steve one thing for me, okay?
Steve from Springboro, the true American.
Yeah, Steve from Springboro.
Okay.
Tell him he sounds like a poodle.
A poodle?
Yeah.
You think Steve from Springboro, the true American, that he sounds like a poodle?
Yeah.
Wow. He's going to put you on the hamburger list, dude.
That's fine. That's fine. Go Bengals. Steve's just upset because his team has not done nothing in the Super Bowl era.
Been nothing. I know they haven't won the Super Bowl, but I mean, the Browns just won a playoff game last year, which now doesn't sound as cool since the Bengals had to show off and win 2 in one damn playoff. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 52 years old. I remember the Brian Sipe interception against the Raiders in Cleveland, cold weather, AFC Championship. I remember the drive. I remember the fumble. I remember the team moving to Baltimore and winning the Super Bowl. It has just it's been great for Cleveland. I enjoy seeing Cleveland. They're not even existent.
Well, they live in your head rent free, apparently. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I can't believe you just let them live there. You don't even charge them.
Hey, just please tell Steve to get a better bark.
Oh, okay. Not a poodle bark. Okay.
Gordon came with the heat.
Steve from Springboro. You going to put up with this?
Shalom.
I mean, people are coming at Steve. I mean, Shaw was going at Steve from Springboro. Mark Smith. Our last caller, Robert. 518-1410. Kev, who's up again?
We got Victor from Baltimore on line 3.
Victor from Baltimore. To Baltimore we go. Victor, how are you, my friend? Are you going for the Bengals as a Ravens fan, I'm assuming?
Well, I got a question for Kev Nash first.
Hold up, Kev. Kev will be back on in a second.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to root for the Bengals.
Wow.
And it was good to hear Pathol Steve call in and tell us about how good Valley View was 25 years ago.
Hey, so what's your name again? Hold up. What's your name again? You sound familiar.
Very familiar.
This is Victor.
Victor in Baltimore, huh?
That's right.
We have caller ID.
Kev, what if I go to Cleveland? What am I eating in Cleveland? Like it says they eat Gold Star and stuff like that. What do you eat in Cleveland?
Oh man, you're gonna go to Whitmore's, go get a Polish boy. You can go, you can go to this pizza spot called Angela Mia's that I grew up on. It's a ton of spots up there. You going up to my city?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that Steve might be getting He might be getting Kansas City ribs, but he's never getting a Polish filet. The Browns are never going to the Super Bowl.
You got to get a Polish filet in your life. You can also go to Slyman's and get a corned beef sandwich. It's a ton of spots up there in my city.
Yep, all things that Steve will never have at his cookout for the AFC Championship. Browns won't be there.
Steve from Springboro, the shots keep coming, my friend. Now you got to do something about this.
Victor, you sound so familiar, man. I just can't put my ear on it.
Yeah, this voice. You sound like this weirdo Charlie that used to call in all the time. He's a big Bengals fan, real loser. I mean, you have to meet him to understand.
I'm just a real big Joe Burrow fan, sir.
From Baltimore, huh, Victor?
Why are you a Joe Burrow fan? You got a pretty good quarterback in Baltimore, too.
Yeah, Joe's the man. There's just something about him. He's got a twinkle in his eye.
How about those touchdowns, huh? How about those touchdowns, Victor?
Well, he's thrown more touchdowns in divisional games than Baker Mayfield did this year. That's for dang sure.
Baker has more touchdowns in the playoffs, though, than old Joey B.
Baker's not in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And Joe B wasn't in the playoffs a year ago.
We're not talking. See, you're doing what Steve just did. I can't tell me about some old stuff.
The previous caller was just walking us down memory lane of all the Bengals playoff and Super Bowl success. As I say that, I hope they play the Niners again, by the way. But what?
I don't want to hear about old stuff. I'm surprised that Steve didn't bring up Jim Brown, from 60 years ago. What is he, 87 years old? He ain't going to come help Cleveland. Nobody's coming to help Cleveland. They're garbage.
Jake Whiting says, I love Charlie. I don't know where Charlie is. That was Victor from Baltimore.
Yeah, man. We want Charlie to call in.
I was like, why the hell is someone from Baltimore calling us? Just Charlie. I don't know why I disrespected Charlie by saying just Charlie, but all right. 5-1. This show is off the rails. I don't know what's going on.
It got off the rails early.
Yeah, I thought that caller a little bit ago. Oh, Kev, you keep the show on track. Kev's doing a horrible job today.
What?
We're all over the place. Nothing's making sense. 518-1410. We'll be back in a moment.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with the Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Do you have taxiety, that uncertain feeling before doing your taxes? Connect with Liberty Tax and then just breathe in and cash out.
Get your refund faster with direct deposit to a Deep Blue debit account.
Deep Blue.
Visit StopTaxiety.com to schedule your appointment, and let's end taxiety. Liberty Tax. Faster access to funds based on comparing refunds via direct deposit versus a mailed paper check. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
KTH Parts Industries has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates and equipment technicians. KTH promotes from within, offers an attractive benefit package including medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at $19 per hour with annual increases and shift differential. KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID to apply or see other career opportunities at kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
You're wrong.
No, you're wrong.
It's time for hashtag Kenner was wrong. They will lose to Green Bay. They will win at Detroit. They will lose both their matchups with Baltimore. They will lose both their matchups with Cleveland. They will lose both their matchups with Pittsburgh. I have the Bengals going winless in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals have spent $250 million over the last two off seasons. You would think if you spend that much money, that's good enough to get you to maybe, I don't know, at least second in your division. They've spent all that money, and they're going to be last in the AFC North. That defense that they put all that money into this offseason, they're the fourth best defense in their own division.
Again? Wrong? Again?
His schedule is absolutely brutal, and just to set the tone, I do not have them finishing with only 3 wins, but it would not surprise me, and I think it says more about how tough the schedule is versus how bad the Bengals are, although I think it's going to be a balance of both. I don't think that this Bengals team is as good as what Bengals fans are hoping, but I'm just a hater. What do I know?
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
What is wrong with them? The Cincinnati Bengals. Did they ever say the Browns being the Browns? That's the Bengals being the Bengals.
Ouch. Wrong again.
Wrong. You're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because
they will get a division win. It'll be against the Steelers or the Ravens. It will not be against the Cleveland Browns. Unless my 13-win Cleveland Browns team in week 17 is resting players and they basically hand the game to the Bengals. But that doesn't count as far as I'm concerned.
This can't be life. You are wrong again.
I keep seeing people in this comment section. Yeah, but Chase, they need Chase. He's going to be great. No. You want Chase. You don't need Chase. Because if you draft Chase with this offensive line, you don't have a quarterback to throw it to him. I mean, Brandon Allen, he's really going to appreciate you drafting a receiver for him to throw to the last half of the season. But you don't need a receiver.
Bruh, come on, Kenner. Hashtag Kenner was wrong.
very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
Yeah, I'd say I have got a few things wrong over the last year.
How you holding up?
Just fine. Because ultimately, season's not over. No trophy's been hoisted yet. Just saying. You've won 2 playoff games, but you can't win 3.
House money, though, right?
House money. Actually, I mean, it really is. If they lose, it's still a hell of a season. If they win, it's just the magical season keeps going. What do they call that in March? Cinderella team. It's a Cinderella season.
Mm-hmm.
You're that mid-major team that's not supposed to be here, but you're here, and you're a great story. You're Loyola. You're VCU. You're Dayton from a few years ago. I mean, you're not the big boys. You're just very, very good little team. And it's a great story. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm joking. I don't buy into that whole year ahead of schedule thing, but I do believe that they've developed very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'll give Zach Taylor credit for that because I mean, look, there's going to be bumps in the road as you're developing, but hey, you know what? If you're learning, I mean, if Joe Burrow's learning while winning all at the same time, like that's the best case scenario. I've never been a big fan of draft Justin Fields. Know you're going to be bad for the year. Let him take his lumps and learn. I don't know how you learn from just getting destroyed. I don't know how you learn without weapons around you. You want to talk about the development of Joe Burrow, Kev. Joe Burrow's been able to get better. The reason, I mean, people forget about this. You know, everyone's like, well, you got to let your quarterback sit a year so he could learn. Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes because his learning curve was able to be fast forwarded when you have Kelsey, when you have Tyreek Hill, when you have weapons all around you. It's kind of the game comes a little easier. Justin Fields didn't have that. Trevor Lawrence didn't have that. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know. He looked a little underwhelming considering the expectations for him. Okay. You give Trevor Lawrence a Tyler Boyd, a T. Higgins, a Jamar Chase, and a Joe Mixon. You give him those weapons. I guarantee you he doesn't look as average as what he did this year. If Justin Fields had the Travis Kelce's of the world and he had the weapons that Patrick Mahomes had coming into the year, he would look pretty damn good too. Look how good Josh Allen is now. Josh Allen didn't look like that the first couple years in Buffalo. Why? Because he didn't have a Stephon Diggs. Okay, he didn't have an offense built around him. Where I was wrong with the Bengals was I was so infatuated with the offensive line that I failed and just refused to realize how important those skill possession players could be as far as helping him develop quicker. I never said that Jamar Chase was going to be a bust or that he was going to be no good. All I said is that I didn't think it was the time to get him. I didn't think it was time for them with all the holes they had to fill. I just thought wide receiver was at the very bottom, especially because Joe Burrow was throwing for 300 yards a game almost last year, and that was just with a rookie T. Higgins and a Tyler Boyd and just as bad of an O-line. So that was my whole point about that was why delay the improvement of the offensive line another full season just to get a wide receiver when you can get a wide receiver? You can get good wide receivers. There's a lot of T. Higgins that you can get. There's a lot of Tyler Boyd type receivers you can get, but there's not a whole lot of Jamar Chases. There's not a whole lot of Justin Jeffersons around. So it all worked out. But I do believe Joe Burrow's, his improvement has stemmed from the fact that he has weapons around him. And that's a lot. You can call plays all you want. You could draw up plays, but if you don't have the personnel to execute that play, then I don't care who your offensive coordinator is. You give the best offensive coordinator in the NFL, you take Eric Bieniemy if you want, and give him that exact same Bears roster as last year. Kev, I don't think they're better. And that's not Eric Bieniemy. That's not an indictment on Justin Fields. Just don't have weapons. Joe Burrow doesn't have an offensive line. Justin Fields doesn't have an offensive line. But you know what makes Joe Burrow's job easier? Receiver here, receiver there, good running back here, another good receiver there, tight end production here. Justin Fields didn't have any of that. So I hate when teams draft rookie quarterbacks. Like the Jaguars ticked me off last year. You draft Trevor Lawrence and you gave him nothing. You tried to draft Travis Etienne, which to me didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, especially with the first round. If you get Etienne in the third or fourth round, wow, more power to you, right? Mm-hmm. But you took him at the first round? I know he got hurt this year, but I don't think that the Jags were Etienne away from not having the number one overall pick for the second straight season. I hate when teams do this. They draft a rookie quarterback and they think, well, there's no pressure to win in year one with this rookie quarterback, so there's no need to go out and get weapons. If you have the ability to go get weapons, the Jaguars had $70 million cap space. Trevor Lawrence should have had wide receivers. Trevor Lawrence should have had weapons. You delayed Trevor Lawrence's development because you can't tell him to go do a job but not give him the weapons necessary to go do the job. Joe Burrow's job is easier because he has weapons. Patrick Mahomes' job became very easy for him. Why? Because he had weapons. That's all. That's my biggest takeaway is I will give the front office that. So I was wrong about a lot over the last year, but man, I do think it's helped. I don't think Joe Burrow, if he's in Jacksonville, Kev, I don't think the Jags are better this year had they drafted, let's say Joe Burrow came out this year and that the Jags had drafted Joe Burrow this year and Joe Burrow stayed healthy for a full 17 games. I don't think the Jags are better. And that's not a shot at Joe Burrow. That's just, he has no weapons there. That's just kind of where I'm coming through. And to be fair, though, if you put Trevor Lawrence on this Bengals team, I don't think they're as good, to be fair. But I think Trevor Lawrence looks night and day different than what he did in his rookie year with the Jags. So there you go.
Jacksonville allegedly is going to hire Byron Leftwich as their head coach. That's very interesting. There was
a report that came out earlier today that it was final. And then it said no, that he's, that they have their candidate list down to a couple now, and that he's one of them. Mm-hmm. Good. I think that makes sense. He played there. So we'll see what ends up happening with Byron Leftwich there. We're starting to see a lot of coordinators get these head coaching gigs. Mm-hmm. Not to go down the race conversation of this, but I mean, Eric Bieniemy's name gets brought up constantly when it comes to, well, there's not enough black head coaches in the NFL. Why doesn't Eric Bieniemy have a job? Well, a lot of black coaches are getting jobs. He's just not one of them. You have to start asking, there's clearly something within these interview circles. There's clearly something within these owner circles or within these team management circles. There's something about Bieniemy that is keeping teams away or hesitant a little bit. I don't like the idea of just, well, we have to have more black head coaches in the NFL, give Bieniemy a job. There's clearly something there that he's lacking, or maybe it is as simple as it's not him that has the complete offensive play calling, responsibilities there. Andy Reid's doing the majority of that. To where Byron Leftwich in Tampa, he had 75% of the play calling responsibilities. And that's one thing I read today, that the reason that he has kind of jumped Eric Bieniemy for head coaching opportunities is because he was actually physically responsible for all the play calling. He worked hand in hand with Tom Brady and came up with game plans, and they executed it together out there, to where Eric Bieniemy is almost being held back by Andy Reid. Like, you're benefiting from Andy Reid, but you're almost being impacted by Andy Reid in the opposite way, because Andy Reid's ultimately calling the majority of the plays during a game. So
I don't know about that, because Doug Peterson was the OC with Andy Reid. He got a head coaching job with Philadelphia. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. Same thing with Nagy. He was the OC under Andy Reid. He got a head coaching job with the Bears. So, like, I can't buy that as a reasoning why he shouldn't get hired for a job. The only thing that I would say is, if it is, he's a bad interview.
That's what Waylon Turner just said. I just read or heard that Eric B, he just doesn't interview well, whatever. I mean, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm nervous when I have to go to job interviews. I'm horrible. Nervous. I don't like, you do this job every day. I talk for a living, but it's amazing. When I was coming out of college doing job interviews, I wouldn't hire me. I wouldn't hire me at all. I just sound like an idiot in these things. But no, like, and that could be it as well. But I did find that fact, like Byron Leftwich, that's a player I grew up watching. A great player, but a name I was familiar with. I always found it fascinating growing up, hearing my parents or hearing, adults around me say, "Oh, I remember watching him play. I've watched Harbaugh play. I watched it." And I'm like, that's weird to me, watching guys that you play, like in the NBA now, watching Jason Kidd get a head coaching game. He retired and boom, was on the sidelines right away. He's 3 or 4 jobs into his damn career. Yeah. Scott Skiles and guys like that, who I don't even think is coaching anymore. But I remember watching him with Orlando back in the day. So it's kind of cool. But Byron Leftwich is one that kind of surprised me. I thought he moved up the ranks pretty quickly. But again, working with Tom Brady definitely can do that, and showing you can win with a quarterback like that.
It always seems like these guys move up quickly, but we never see the grind. Like, once they retire, they kind of like fade away, because nobody is talking about the quarterback coach. Nobody's talking about, only people we ever talk about is the head coach, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Nobody talks about the linebacker coach. Nobody talks about the defensive line coach. Nobody talks about the secondary coach. Nobody talks about those dudes. Those roles are filled by somebody. And a lot of those times, those somebodies end up becoming OCs and DCs later down the line. Like Michigan's current defensive coordinator, University of Michigan is their defensive coordinator. The word is he's going to be the DC replacing Wink Martindale.
Is it official? Someone just said, side note, Michigan DC going to the Ravens. I don't know if that's official.
And he was an assistant coach with the Ravens last year. So that's just, it's rotational.
But didn't he come from Michigan?
Yeah.
Or didn't he come from?
No, he came from Baltimore. He came from Baltimore. He was an assistant coach on the Ravens, went to be the DC at Michigan. And now he's going to back to be the DC.
Okay, I just wanted that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he was an assistant there at Baltimore, cut his teeth, calling his own defense at Michigan. You're worthy now. We've seen you do your own thing. Come on back to the quote unquote big leagues or whatever. So, that's kind of like how it goes. A lot of these guys that, get the OC positions, they don't just come out of nowhere. They 9 times out of 10 were lower level assistants. And I use quotation marks on lower level.
518-1410. The discussion in the last hour, as usual, got out of hand. Not out of hand, but like it kind of took off and had a life of its own, talking about, how do you decipher who you root for in the NFL playoffs when your team's out? There's a lot of Bengals fans in this area. You have no issue finding a team to root for in the AFC and NFC championship games coming up this weekend. What about Browns fans? Who are you pulling for this weekend? This is an argument that started in the chat that kind of caught my attention, that I pulled and wanted to use in the show, as far as like, how are people justifying who their alliance is with heading into these championship games this weekend? There are some Browns fans, or just fans of the NFL in general, have a different team than the Bengals, that are pulling for Cincinnati just because, hey, it's Ohio, or you're pulling for the Bengals as a Browns fan because it's the AFC North and you're going for teams within your division because that helps you. If a team that's competing in your division is in the Super Bowl, you can use that as a talking point. Well, man, our schedule's tough. We got to face the, Super Bowl runner-ups or the Super Bowl champions twice next year on top of having to play Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? Like, there's always those talking points as far as how you want to go about justifying who you pull for. And like usual, it leads to the trash talk among sports fans, which I absolutely love. But 518-1410, Browns fan Kenny Smith saying he's trying to call in. The lines are full. We'll kind of get through these and hopefully open up some for you to call, Kenny. Just give us time. We already heard from Steve from Springboro. He was animated as usual. No surprise there. But 518-1410, Kev, who's up?
Ron from West Carrollton on line 4.
Ron from West Carrollton. Ron, how are you, sir?
Oh, Ronnie.
That's all right. That's all right. Next up,
Javier, line 2.
Javier, how are you? Who's your team?
Come on, Javier.
Next up.
Oh, on Burrow's back, line 3.
That's his name?
That's his name.
On Burrow's back, that's your name?
I like that. And Sean, go Browns, baby.
Go Browns. And you're
Kenner, real quick, the next time these jokers, these Browns haters call in hating on the Browns, just tell them Baker owns Burrow.
Oh, they know. There's some things I don't have to tell them on Burrow's back. They know. They know that Baker owns them. They're hoping that Baker gets traded to Minnesota or gets out of Cleveland, because then they have a chance to beat Cleveland finally. They figured out a way to own the Ravens and to own the Steelers. Joe Burrow can conquer a lot of things. He just cannot seem to conquer the myth that is the man, the myth, the legend that is Baker Mayfield. It's okay.
Okay, here's my question, and I'll hang up. How long can a quarterback that is sacked that often survive in the NFL? Have a good day.
All right, thank you for the call. Look, I hear a lot of people talking about that, like, Joe Burrow, how much more of this beating can he take? Let's be honest, Bengals fans. It's been 31 years since your last playoff win. You won 2 playoff games already in this playoff alone. If he wins the Super Bowl and he retires in 4 years because his body can't take it anymore, you know what? You got what you needed out of him. You got what you needed out of him. I'll still judge the hell out of the franchise for not taking care of him more. But you know what? If you're able to sneak a Super Bowl appearance or, God forbid, a Super Bowl win, whatever. But no, at the end of the day, I don't know. I think that the Bengals are going to finally do the smart thing. I think that they're going to do the right thing. I think that it's all going to be taken care of this offseason. His offensive line will be buttoned up. And it's like Joe Burrow has found a way to play with the bad offensive line. But just because he can doesn't mean that he should. And I think that now Joe Burrow, with all the success, is going to be able to have a little bit more clout heading into that, be able to head into that, owner's box and say, hey, I need an offensive line. Like, I think it's tough as a rookie to go in demanding things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Joe Burrow in year one, even though I would have liked to. Joe Burrow can't go in there and you're in the NFL. You've fought your whole life to get to the NFL. You can't go in there and say, I want this, I want that. Not everyone's wired like an Aaron Rodgers, and not everyone's wired like even an Eli Manning, who threw a temper tantrum to get his way out of San Diego at that time.
Well, that's what your agent's for. That's what your agent's for. Joe Burrow doesn't necessarily have to do it himself. His agent can go in there like, hey, look, great season. We played great. We made it to the AFC Championship, potentially made it to the Super Bowl, potentially even won the Super Bowl. So what are we going to be doing to make sure Joe has a long, healthy career with your franchise? That's what he's going to be telling the management of the Cincinnati Bengals. That's what Joe's representatives are going to be telling him. He doesn't need to say it. That's why he paid the agent to do it. Well, hey, man, go do your job, agent. And to your point, that's why this whole situation with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson is going to get sticky, because Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent. So, him and, his mom are going to have those difficult conversations with the Baltimore Ravens and everything.
Why would he not have an agent?
I have no idea why. I read the story. I really didn't understand the story. I get it. I understand where him and his family are coming from. They bet on themselves. Everybody told Lamar Jackson to go to one particular high school. He went to his home high school. They end up going to states and lost in the state championship game, yada, yada, yada. Said he should run track and field. He said, no, I'm a quarterback. I play football. Yada, got to Division I scholarship. You should play wide receiver, yada, yada, yada. Wins the MVP in the NFL. So kind of like feeling like, hey, man, we've done it our way thus far. We're going to continue to do things our way. I may personally disagree with it, but hey, who am I? He's an NFL star, MVP, Heisman Trophy winner, first-round pick. I'm on the radio with Kenner in Dayton, Ohio.
Well, he didn't have time to look for an agent. He's too busy trying to figure out how to throw a football. So, I don't blame him. He's trying to fine-tune his craft. I wish we would have asked Victor from Baltimore earlier when he called his thoughts on old Baltimore there. But 518-1410, Doug Toby says, if you're a free agent lineman, Who do you want to play for, Baker or Joe Burrow? Doug, that's a silly question, mainly because I know what you're getting at, but you don't get to ask that, and here's why. Joe Thuney wanted to play for the Bengals last year. Joe Thuney wanted to play for the Bengals. They lowballed him. Free agents are willing to go play. They got Riley Reef because they were finally willing to pay somebody. There are guys who are willing to go anywhere if you pay them. It's not about that. It's about, it doesn't matter if linemen would rather go play for this guy or go play for that guy. They want to go play for the best situation to win. I think wide receivers pick which quarterback they want to go play for. I don't think offensive linemen care who's going to pay me the most and have a chance to win. Joe Burrow, the Bengals give offensive linemen a chance to win now. Cleveland gives offensive linemen a chance to win now. I mean, you can go get a good offensive lineman to bring into Cincinnati and still be surrounded by crap on the rest of the offensive line and block for a good quarterback. But, if Cleveland's more suited to win once healthy, I mean, I'm not saying that it's for sure pick Cleveland over Cincinnati. If you're saying which quarterback's better, of course it's Joe Burrow. But no, I don't want to hear this, offensive linemen weren't willing to go to Cincinnati before and now they are because of Joe Burrow. Spare me that mess. That ain't the case at all. Doug, you know what you're doing. Don't bring me silly questions like that. I ain't getting, no, absolutely not. Waylon Turner, the Bengals are going to get an offensive line this offseason. They know what they need. They knew they needed that last year, Waylon. They saw their quarterback Waylon on the floor holding on to his dangly leg. Their franchise quarterback, Waylon. He was wailing on the ground, and they still weren't motivated enough to go get him some protection. My goodness, no. Absolutely. You can't get, they know what they need this year. They knew what they needed last year too, to protect their quarterback. Now, I'm not saying they didn't get good pieces in the draft. They did, but at what expense? You're right. That's why that last caller, whoever had asked about, can Joe Burrow continue to go at this pace, getting sacked 50 plus times a season? The answer is no, he can't. I don't think the Bengals are that foolish to not provide him with some guys up front. But I mean, everyone knows the reputation of the front office. You don't pay your offensive line. He doesn't pay his offensive line. Mike Brown refuses to pay that offensive line. I've always defended Mike Brown from that standpoint of, give him something that's worth protecting. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't put your beat up used truck. You don't have to have a garage to hide your beat up used truck like your Andy Daltons of the world. But when you finally get that brand new, beautiful car, you want to make sure that thing's in the garage. You want to make sure it's protected. Well, Mike Brown, get that damn thing in the garage and stop leaving Joe Burrow parked on the side street over there. Got it? It's not that hard. But I don't want to focus on that. That's some off-season chatter, but people's obsession with bringing up the offensive line. I'm just like, what? You know what's bad? Don't sit there and defend it. It is what it is. Waylon Turner again. If Joe Burrow had the offensive line that Baker has, he would be putting up better numbers. Well, if my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle.
I don't know if you could say that on radio, but okay.
Why not?
I didn't say you couldn't.
That's a fact, but that's true.
I didn't say you couldn't. I just said I don't know.
All right, I take it back, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that FCC will be cool with you since you took it back.
What? We used to have a show called Buck Nuts. You could say nuts on the air.
In that context, context matters.
I didn't say nothing wrong. What's that? Never mind. We'll not go in there. 518-1410. Is he back?
He's back.
What line?
3.
The True American is back. What up, brother?
You can say cojones. And Mr. Charlie the Clown, if he's wanting to get on the hamburger grill list, tell him he has succeeded. Because when you've never even met a person, you don't know nothing about them, and you start resorting to them, calling them, Papaw, Steve, and something. You've known me long enough to know Justin, and Slimmer knows me. I don't back down from nobody or nothing. I'll stand up for what I believe in, what's right. And they got to run to all these little name-calling things, somebody they've never met, all these bunghole, fair-weather fans. I'm sick to death of them. I'm sick of seeing everything on TV about it in the newspapers. That's why I said earlier I'm at work. I got to cut it kind of quick. I want to see Kansas City I'd like to see them beat them by about 4 or 5 touchdowns. And as far as getting to a Super Bowl, Charlie, little boy that you are, that you want to start calling people names that you don't even know anything about, punk, we'll just let it go at that. And if any of these texting brave phone callers want to come, they can come meet me up at Frickers Sunday morning. I got to get out. I got to go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
Oh, my gosh. Kenner.
That ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
Gosh.
That is a Browns fan. Let's go to, we got Javier. Javier, how are you, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Javier, by the way, but it's
Javier?
Javier, yeah.
Javier, okay.
Pardon me, my bad.
And that's all good. It's all good. So first thing is, I'm a diehard Seahawks fan, and I hate the Rams with a passion. I hate the Niners with a passion. I hate everybody in my division with a passion. But honestly, it don't matter who wins. I just want another Super Bowl back in the division because we're already the best division in the league. So at this point, doesn't matter who wins as long as one of them can bring a Super Bowl back to the division. Because I mean, Seattle will be back on top next year, so that won't even matter.
Very.
And as far as Eric Bieniemy goes, maybe he just don't want to leave Kansas City. I mean, he's in a great situation. You have Patrick Mahomes for at least the next 5 to 7 years. Why leave? Why not just stay there and win championships there? Or maybe he could just be waiting for the Kansas City job. Because if history repeats itself and anything happens in Philadelphia like it did in Philadelphia and Kansas City, then Andy Reid go fall off. He's going to begin to have losing seasons, and they're going to be looking for a replacement, and you already got a replacement in-house. So it doesn't matter if he interviews well or not, you know, because if somebody go hire you, they go hire you regardless. If they believe in you, they go hire you regardless. I mean, why would you leave as the CEO of Coke to go be a manager at a gas station? Anywhere Eric Bieniemy leaves, he's going to have to start from scratch.
Which can be dangerous, especially, you know, it's tough to, you know, you got to be careful what first job you take because, you know, if you know, for instance, you go to Jacksonville and Jacksonville's not a place you can go to and have guaranteed success. You know, it's a risk going there, trying to win there. And then if you end up doing exactly what all the previous coaches have done, which is not win, now everyone doesn't look at and say, they don't give you the benefit of the doubt and say, well, it's Jacksonville, it's tough to win. It's, oh, that coach is no good. He couldn't turn that franchise around.
Exactly.
So you got to be selective with what job you take. My thing is, I've never heard any reports come out that he's not interested in jobs, you know, when he's always asked around the Super Bowl last year. There was the clip that came out, you know, that talked about, yes, he's interested in being a head coach someday, but to your point, it doesn't mean that he means right now, you know, so we'll see. I think he'll be a head coach at some point, but to your credit, hey, I'm not in a rush to get out of here. At some point, this is going to be my gig. Josh McDaniels, same thing over in New England. You know, he's not in a hurry to get out of there. He'll take a gig if it makes sense, but if not, he's most likely the guy that'll take over New England when that time comes. So these guys know what they're doing.
Especially if Kansas City wins another ring here soon. I mean, Andy Reid is already cemented as one of the greatest coaches. He's been having family issues with his son and stuff. He just may decide to retire from the game. I got Super Bowls. I've coached some of the greatest teams in NFL history. So Andy Reid could just be getting ready to step down soon. And you still got that continuity with the locker room. You still got that presence. You still as a voice heard in the locker room where they've been trying to go build up something new somewhere else, and then it just goes downhill. And they'd be like, Eric B. And I mean, not to play the race card, he only go have one opportunity as a black head coach. So I mean,
that's why I said earlier, you got to be selective about what job you take, just because whether that's fair or not, we all know it's not. The reality is that, you know, you have to go to, I mean, look at Jim Caldwell, obviously with what happened in Detroit, that guy won and still couldn't keep a job. So it's like, you have to go to a place that almost you have a winner right there so you can hit the ground running, because you're not going to be given, unfortunately, that amount of time to build something. That's why if he stays in Kansas City, he didn't have to build it. He just has to keep it going. And that's less of a risk. Fortunately, it's less of a risk than gambling going to a bad Jets team or going to a bad Jaguars team or every other bad situation that's out there. I mean, look at New Orleans, for instance. I'm seeing Eric Bieniemy, you know, from New Orleans. That can make sense there. I think that's a terrible situation to go to. Bieniemy's going to go to a place that is just literally restricted by all of the cap, you know, they have no cap space. I mean, that would be a horrible spot to go to right now, because they're not a couple years from being a winner, and usually coaches don't survive that rebuild years.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Saints are definitely in rebuild mode now.
But all right, man, I appreciate you calling back. Thank you.
Appreciate it, fellas. No problem.
Later.
518-1410, 518-1410. Kev, where's the other Browns fan, Kenny Smith?
He is on 2.
Kenny, thanks for being patient. Your pal, Steve from Springboro, a little passionate, a little fired up.
Just a little.
Your tag team partner, what do you think?
Hey, guess what? Steve, from when I went to school with till now, hasn't changed a bit.
Hold up. I need to ask, though. What was it like just walking through your high school? What was he like in class when teachers called upon him? What did he bark at teachers?
The guy had facial hair when he was like in the 7th grade.
Did he walk around high school with the beer in his hand at all times?
No, not in high school. But he hasn't changed a bit. I love the guy. And I would say that I've listened to you guys for a long time, but I haven't called in, and I have to call in now because all the new Bengals stuff coming out now, it's killing me. They're the most bandwagon fans ever. When they're winning, they will come out. I wore my Brown stuff when we were 0-16. I wore something Browns every day for like 35 years. That's how we are. We are loyal.
Now, to be fair, I've always heard when people say that, Steve, I always hear people say that, or Kenny, sorry, I always hear people say that, they come out only when they're winning. I understand why that annoys people, but sometimes sometimes fans aren't passionate about their team who's constantly losing. I mean, I've always argued sometimes too, Browns fans, you continue to support a franchise that would let you down year in and year out. You never put pressure on ownership to improve. It took the Bengals fans stop filling up their stadium. It took Bengals fans finally putting the pressure on the front office, or they finally felt the pressure to have to turn it around. Like, I know what you're saying. I don't understand that mentality of being, I mean, of course they're coming out now when they're winning. And you would be ripping them if they were winning and fans still weren't coming out. I have a feeling you'd still be ripping them, saying Bengals fans aren't even supporting their winning team, like Reds fans.
I've had so many bad experiences going to Cincinnati. I had season tickets in Cleveland for 19 years.
Wow.
Drove 3 hours up there, 3 hours back. Pretty much, I gave them up a couple years ago because I'm getting older and I can't do it no more. I'm like, I hate the winters in Cleveland. But I've had so many bad experiences in Cincinnati that I can like talk an hour about how bad they are there. I'm like, I've seen other people come in our stadium. We treat them with respect. Kansas City fans came in a couple years ago. We took them out. We bought them food. Then I went to Kansas City, and she picked me up at the airport, a Kansas City fan. Took us out to eat and everything. I respect fans like that, but I've had so many bad experiences in Cincinnati that I can never root for them.
Kenny, you said you had season tickets for how long?
19 years.
So give me the day. Give me the agenda for the day on a Sunday for a 1 o'clock kickoff. What time are you leaving Dayton?
Well, usually we stayed all night, Saturday night.
Okay.
We go up there.
Okay.
We go in the Muni lot back then we could get in there like at 4 o'clock in the morning. Woo. So we get there about 4 and we open a few beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had a friend that I gave him a ticket because he didn't drink that much. So he drove back for me. So I'm like, whenever you want, I will take you. I didn't do the bad stuff, like driving back and everything, but I always made sure. But if we left here in Dayton on Sunday, we would get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd get up there about 5, get in line, because now the Muni lot opens at 7 in the morning. So we would get in line, and 7 o'clock in the morning, it's like a big Browns family there. Everybody knows everybody.
So let me get this straight. I don't know if you're like me. I can't stand Odell Beckham Jr. anymore. So if the Rams get to the Super Bowl, I will not pull for them. Absolutely not. If the Bengals get to the Super Bowl and it's against the Rams, I cannot pull for OBJ. Absolutely not. He's a prime example of someone that if you just throw a temper tantrum in a situation you don't want, then you just get to go off to a better place and be rewarded for it. Absolutely not. I'm going for the Bengals in that case. Is there a situation out there that exists that it would force you to pull for the Bengals?
Never. That would be a no.
All right, man. Hey.
I'm like Steve from Springboro. I rooted for the 49ers back in the Super Bowl era when the Bengals made it. And I've already heard we've been to 2 Super Bowls. How many you been to? Because we've been none. But Jim Brown has an NFL championship ring that I keep bringing up. But they keep saying that's before the Super Bowl. It don't count. Well, history is history. And we have history. Autogram, Jim Brown. but they keep saying, but they have no championships ever. And they only have one Hall of Famer in 55 years.
You know, Anthony Munoz, and you know the ironic thing is that they're known for having such a horrible offensive line, but yet their only Hall of Famer is an offensive lineman. I just find that ironic. So there you go. But hey, kind of good stuff, man. Appreciate you calling for the first time. Take care.
All right, I'll call back.
518-1410. Ron Broadstock says, why do Browns fans believe that they've been good forever?
I
love it. I love the rivalry. That's all.
So obviously I'm born and raised in Cleveland. You know, me growing up, I remember the Cardiac Browns days. I remember the Bernie Kosar days. They had a song they used to play on this station called WWMMS. Bernie, Super Bowl. And when they played that song, that was a year of the drive where John Elway led the drive over the Browns. So me growing up as a kid in the 80s and everything like that, I remember when the Browns were good. You know, it's hard for a lot of people to believe that the Browns were good in the 80s and the Steelers were the bottom of the barrel team. And at that time, it was the Browns and Bengals and the Houston Oilers at the top of the AFC North. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Well, it was the Central then. So, and then in the 90s, when things kind of like flipped when Bill Cowher got there, and then obviously with the Browns moving to Baltimore and everything like that, and then basically having to restart the franchise and everything like that, it's just they haven't been able really to recover for an extended period of time.
All right, 518-1410. Let's do one more. I do want to move on to the Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens debacle when it comes to the Hall of Fame. The writers have annoyed me. Like this isn't heaven. The fact that there are more questionable people in heaven than what are allowed into the Baseball Hall of Fame is absolutely ridiculous to me. I mean, I really do. Like these holier than thou writers that think that, you know, that they hold the fate of these actual legends. I have a huge problem with this. I'm ticked off. I think that the writers are hurting the game more than the actual players who actually, you know, had the transgressions themselves. It's driving me crazy. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a few moments. 518-1410. Let's close it out. Kev, who we got?
Jeff, line 4.
Jeff, how are you? Bengals fan, Browns fan? What's your flavor? All right. He doesn't have a flavor. I'll say he's a Browns fan just because I feel like a lot of Browns fans call it in today. And a lot of people are calling out the jealous Browns fans in the chat. You know, it's there was no support. Not one Browns fan called in to show support for the Bengals.
I'm not surprised.
You know, Jason Lowe said that guy sounded like a Michigan fan, which I actually understand what Jason's saying. I mean, Michigan fans have been doing that, preaching about their success from decades ago. They've been doing that, well, for decades. But, you know, I'm not here to get into a Browns Bengals debate today. I'm just letting you all, you guys got Steve from Springboro all fired up, though.
Called twice.
He called twice.
Wow.
And he don't bark. He made sure to let you guys know he doesn't bark like no poodle.
No poodles over here, bruh.
Oh, yeah. Steve from Springboro. Holy smokes. All right, folks. We'll be right back. 518-1410. 518-1410. Doug Toby says, Mike Brown didn't sell our team to another city. Mayflower Moving Company. Well, that's kind of ironic coming from a fan base that's been screaming for Mike Brown to sell the team. So I'm just saying, let's just be clear as far as that's concerned. Do Aaron Parrish, Browns have 2 Super Bowls, 02 and Flacco won 1 in 2012. Technically, he's not wrong. Holy moly. All right, 518-1410. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty and Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. We'll step away for a few moments. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame. No Barry Bonds, no Roger Clemens. They actually did it. They kept him out. I thought for sure they would just kind of make him sweat, that they would just kind of make him uncomfortable, and then the final ballot, they'd get... No, they stuck to their guns. The writers did not let him in. And I'm a little shocked. I don't think I should be shocked, but I'm actually shocked that Barry Bonds is not a Hall of Famer. And he is a Hall of Famer, but he's not a Hall of Famer according to the guys that never played. So that's what we're going to get into when we come back. 518-1410, more of the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash next.
If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. I gotta be a man.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear and cold, a high near 20. Tonight's going to be clear and cold, a low near 10. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 33. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with lots of sound effects. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here are some zany sounds. Saving on home insurance is no laughing matter. Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. The money you save could change your life. It's time for you to take your insurance choice seriously. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's football season again, which means it's football season again. And here at Frank's Red Hot, we put together a completely exhaustive list of essentials that will bring everyone together on game day. Essential number 1, Frank's Red Hot. I mean, come on, people, that was a given. Number 2, wings. Like, just so many wings. Okay, it looks like that's it. There's not even a third thing on the page. Do I just say the first 2 essentials again, or is that weird? Nope, just Frank's and wings? Okay, that's okay. Yeah. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy all types of real estate completely as is. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, rental portfolios. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 Mack Oil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Okay. Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/auto navigator.
Montgomery County veterans, we're here to serve you. You served your country, and now it's time we served you. You are entitled to many VA benefits, to include compensation, pension, and more. Call 937-225-4801 or online at mcvsc.org.
Looking for a way to kick your family's meal up a notch? Then Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has you covered with the 8-piece spicy box at a great price. Experience spicy perfection with 8 pieces of fresh, never frozen classic chicken that's freshly marinated and hand-breaded with a kick. Then it's cooked fresh, just right to seal in that famous flavor. This is the best chicken made bold. Satisfy your spicy cravings with the 8-piece spicy box at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
It's totally normal to be constipated with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way. You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives to help relieve belly pain and let you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Individual results may vary. Do not give to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor today. You may be able to save on Linzess and make fewer trips to the pharmacy. See if you're eligible to pay as little as $30 for 90 days. Visit linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Need more hires in the new year? Check out Indeed. With Instant Match, you'll receive a list of quality candidates when you sponsor a job. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
And now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Are you dreaming of something greater? A college degree, job skills, a rewarding career? The Ohio Army National Guard can help you get the education you need to land the career you've always wanted. The Ohio National Guard Scholarship Program could pay 100% of your college tuition. You're eligible for the scholarship as soon as you enlist. Learn more about the many benefits that come with serving in the Ohio Army National Guard. Visit NationalGuard.com today. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Hey, Carrie, we need that tax report by tomorrow. Hey, Bobby, give me that expenses.
For Hari's accounting firm, client growth is exponential.
We're a couple of accountants short.
He needs whip-smart accountants at whiplash speed.
Hey, so why aren't these receivables matching up?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Why does Walgreens offer copays as low as $0 and 90-day refills? Because we care about Medicare, so you don't have to. I mean, do you really care to hear me go on about same-day prescription delivery making your life easier? Or how there's a pharmacy expert available 24/7 and one-click refills? Well, I just did anyways. Fill your Medicare prescriptions with Walgreens and save.
$0 copays apply to Tier 1 generic drugs and select plans with Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Restrictions apply. See walgreens.com/Medicare for complete details.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty a call today. Brad Mays number 937-572-7425. Brad Mays again with Home Experts Realty 572-7425 is his number, or shoot him an email, bradmaysre@gmail.com. Brad Mays just helped my fiance and I. We just closed on our very first home together. We're getting married here in a few months, and we weren't anticipating buying a home before getting married, but what the hell, the timing was right, so it worked out perfect. But Brad was an awesome help every step of the way, and I promise you he'll do the same kind of work for you as well. So again, if you were looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty a call today. One more time, 572-7425. Appreciate Brad being a part of the show as well. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, another proud sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Baseball Hall of Fame talk, we'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. I wanted to finish up some of the phone calls in regards to the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, ahead of this weekend's AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's somehow the show has been, it started at 3, going on 5. It's been 2 hours of just Browns and Bengals fans just chirping at one another. I shouldn't say chirping, I should say barking. And if you don't know what I mean, Steve from Springboro, his feathers were ruffled. I mean, you had Victor from Baltimore called in, got Steve from Springboro all fired up. But if you missed any of the show, and you want a summary of how the day has gone, here's how it's gone.
Got to go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
No poodles on this side.
No, everyone's saying who was the call earlier that said his bark was a poodle bark or whatever? But Steve,
got to go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
You got to get. I mean, to be fair, Steve from Springboro is a little agitated. Our team's not in the playoffs. Your team, the Bengals, they're in the playoffs, a chance to get to a Super Bowl. We're a little agitated as Browns fans as of late. So it's totally understandable. Totally understandable. Kenny Smith, he says, I love Steve. The Browns fans are sticking it. I mean, this is, if this was a WWE rivalry, it'd be like a Survivor Series. It'd be Browns fans versus Bengals fans. Elimination match. I think Steve would be he would be the mic leader. He would be the one that would lead us all out. I'd be the last one standing.
I was just about to ask you, how would you fare in this Royal Rumble?
I'd be the last one standing. I'd have my arm raised in victory.
You do have the microphone.
I'd give Steve the microphone again.
Got to go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
Oh man, David Shaw says, "Please, Steve is as fake as it gets."
Uh-oh.
Look, I'm not defending Steve, but I do know this. I talk a lot of smack to a lot of listeners. If I didn't know anything about Steve, I would hope that if anyone had ever caught me talking smack to Steve, that someone would warn me about who he actually is and what he could potentially do. I wouldn't. That's all. I wouldn't mess with Steve. Shaw, even you. I wouldn't even sick Steve on my worst enemy. That's you. So I'm just saying, I know what you're saying, but, it is what it is. But 518-1410, that's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Jeffrey Thompson on Facebook says, let's talk about how Justin used to be a Bengals fan back when Schlemmer was also on the show. Dude flipped so fast, I bet he regrets it now. Let's be clear. There was in no point in my 32 years of life, and I've made a lot of bad decisions in life, some very, very good decisions, some really, really bad decisions. But at no point, if I was to rank the bad decisions of my life, would you ever find on that ranking list of bad decisions that I've made in my life, never would you come across on that list of bad decisions. You would never come across on any of the bullet points me being a Bengals fan. Even I am smart enough to not be a Bengals fan. I'm happy for you guys. Congratulations. This is fun. I'm even enjoying it. I'm reaping the benefits of it as a sports radio host at a station within an hour of Cincinnati. I'm all for it. Okay, but no, never been a Bengals fan. I was never a Bengals fan even back when it was the Kinner and Schlemmer show. Schlemmer was the Bengals fan. Schlemmer was also very real about the Cincinnati Bengals. You guys used to cry about his takes on the Bengals as well. Sensitive. I'm telling you guys, it's unbearable sometimes. But no, never been a Bengals fan. In fact, Stephen A. Smith went off on me one time for being a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan. Okay, you've heard the cut. You've heard the promo. You're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan. I'm a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan. At no point in the history of my 32 years of life have I been stupid enough to be a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's just because I'm a Browns fan. That's all. If I wasn't a Browns fan, I guess I would maybe flirt with the idea of being a Bengals fan, but I'd have to really hate life.
You're a Browns fan and a Cowboys fan.
Steelers fan from Cleveland, say what?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Steelers fan from Cleveland, say what?
I'm just saying. You got the best of both worlds.
Oh, you weren't taking a shot. That's the second day in a row I've blasted. Oh, so you were.
It was.
I still feel bad about that guy yesterday. He was trying to defend me, and I just went off on him. I told him to go away. Then I realized, oh, you weren't yelling at me. I'm just used to everyone yelling at me. I'm not used to people defending me. So, it was a little...
It's rare.
Off guard, So it is what it is. Mark Smith says, #Kinner was wrong.
It's really catching steam out here in the streets.
I mean, we had the Kinner was wrong. Actually, we'll kick off the 5 o'clock hour with that. If you missed the Kev Nash production of Kinner was wrong compilation, we'll have that coming up for you here in about 10 minutes or so. But 518-1410, I want to get to the Baseball Hall of Fame conversation, but I want to wrap it up. Who we have, Kev?
We got Roe on line 2.
Is this the Roe? Was this Roe that came out to Frickers all decked out in his Bengals gear this past Sunday? Is it the Bengals fan Roe?
That's right. That is me right here in the fully flesh, man.
You were the life of the Frickers party on Sunday, buddy. I tell you what, you came in all ready to go. You fired up. You had the Bengals mask. You had the chain. You had the lanyards of all the teams that the Bengals have beat this year. Have you found the Cleveland Browns one yet, though? I know I was trying to help you find it. I hope you found it. I don't know if it fell off or something.
No, I don't have it, but I do have it on hold. I have it on the next year. I have it on the next year. To let you know. Now, first thing, the guy from Springfield, I love old dude because, he's a diehard Browns fan. That's a dude I want to party with for the simple fact I'm a diehard Bengals fan. So I love the hatred that we got from one another. You know what I'm saying? Tell him you need to send me some of them steaks because I got some bad news for you. Do y'all remember how we played Kansas City once before, right?
Yes.
So understand one thing. Defense has not changed. And how they played against Buffalo lost that game on their own. You see what I'm saying? Because they had a chance to get them. So I'm going to let you know something. Cincinnati's going to go in there and do what they do. The first half, we let Mahomes go ahead, throw and get get some touchdowns. What happened on the second half? We shut them down all through this season, especially through the playoffs. Every team that we played, they never scored any more points on us after the second half. They got off on the first half. The second half, what did we do? We shut them down. Yes, I know our offense is a little shady, but you know what? We don't break. We bust butt, and that's what we gonna do.
No, hey, first of all, I'm gonna hang up on you if you say butt again. You say ass. You got it? Say it with your chest.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, my fault. Please forgive me.
Then say it.
I'm on the air.
I'm waiting.
What? Say what?
We swear on the show.
Oh, okay. No, I don't do that. This is like in my music. I'm a rap artist, but I don't cuss. But I can get some splits for you. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I'm still working on something for you as well. But I love y'all.
If you come up with something for the show, it'll be you come up with an intro for the show. It's yours.
Please do.
Okay, no problem, man. Because like I said, you can check me out online. I got Bengal theme songs. I've been in the business over 20-something years. Been to the Apollo twice. So I'm real what I'm saying, what I got. And I got albums out there. You know what I'm saying?
You have a Bengals song? I'll find this Bengals song. We'll take a listen to this Bengals song.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I got Bengals songs on. It's called It's Time. And if you look at my real name, Rolando Harvard, you can look it up on YouTube or wherever, and you'll be able to see my songs right there.
This guy knows what he's doing.
And you check him out.
Yeah, he call in. Yeah. He talks Bengals, and then he does a nice little plug on the way out. Ro, you the man. I appreciate you. Bengals fan, Ro.
Yeah. Bro, here we go. The killer Bengal, baby, and I'll be there. All right, I love y'all, man. Thank y'all for putting me on. I'm a mailman. I'm out here delivering this mail, but I'm glad y'all gave me the opportunity.
We appreciate your service, man, because it's cold out there.
No kidding, man. I would not want to be doing that. Schrody, Titans fan Schrody, he's kind of disappeared, by the way. Titans fan Schrody, if you're listening, he's also a mailman. He's out,
braving the elements,
delivering the mail in these temps.
Oh man,
that's brutal.
Very.
I don't even like let's be real, Ro. I don't even like walking. I don't even like opening my front door to reach out to grab my mail from the mailbox, and you're walking in this stuff. No, thank you. So there you go. But let's see. Man, we're back to the Burrow is 0-3 against us. Kenny Smith, he's fighting the good fight, man. He's letting these Bengals fans have it. Kenny Smith, I mean, the tag team part, again, if this is WrestleMania, and it's about WrestleMania season, by the way, we're going to be getting some WWE tickets to give away here. Actually, WWE going to be in Columbus coming up. They won't come back to Dayton. Last time, it's been a while since WWE's been back to Dayton, but we're still giving away tickets. Last time we gave away a lot of tickets to some pay-per-views that were over in Columbus. That was pretty dang cool. Sat with a bunch of listeners. That was pretty neat. We're going to be doing that again. But I'm just saying, WrestleMania season's coming up. I could just imagine WrestleMania in Dallas at Jerry's World. That's where it's going to be this year. Can you imagine? Kenny Smith is officially the tag team partner to the one and only Steve from Springboro. Can you imagine? Steve from Springboro.
Who would they face?
Gotta go to work, dude. That ain't no poodle bark, jackasses.
That wasn't that loud, but I'm just saying.
I would imagine they would face Charlie and Shaw.
I'm the manager. I'm the Paul Heyman. I'm Paul Heyman. I'm Paul Heyman. I come out. I work the crowd. I get everyone all fired up. But Shaw has nothing to do with this. But I would love to stick Steve from Springboro on Shaw. Yes,
Shaw's good for the ratings.
We put Shaw in the opening one. That doesn't even good. He's not good enough to go on TV. He'd just be in the opener. It's just to get the fans a little bit into it. Put Shaw in the opener.
Not the main attraction.
You want to talk Hall of Fame in baseball?
Let's do it.
Steve from Springboro beating up on Shaw in the WrestleMania opening match.
Brother.
All right, we'll be back. Hour 3 coming up next. Hashtag Kinner was wrong. People are clamoring for that again. Shaw says that's the best 2 minutes in the history of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. It's just the 2 minutes that Kev compiled of me being absolutely dead wrong about the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, let's talk a little Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm not advocating for players to use steroids. I'm not advocating for players to be able to break the rules and cheat the game or anything like that. However, you know me, Kev. I hate hypocrites. Hypocrites drive me absolutely insane. I cannot stand it. If you have a stance on something, fine. Have a stance on something and stick to it. But being a hypocrite, I'll never be down for that. We're going to talk about that. I think that's one of the biggest issues when it comes to the voting process for the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm absolutely irritated when it comes to that. We'll get to that next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Need more hires in the new year? Check out Indeed. With Instant Match, you'll receive a list of quality candidates when you sponsor a job. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for coming.
Are you kidding? I never miss one of your dinner parties. How's the new job?
We're growing fast, and I stopped working weekends thanks to how much smoother everything runs on NetSuite by Oracle.
Fantastic. We're still using QuickBooks.
Why haven't you upgraded to NetSuite?
We're making QuickBooks work, sort of.
Shh, watch your language. The kids are right there. Sorry, Amy. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. And 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since upgrading from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
Yeah, sounds like it's time for me to switch to NetSuite.
Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite. For the new year, NetSuite has a new financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/radar. Head to netsuite.com/radar for this special one-of-a-kind financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/radar.
Hey guys, if you love football, Sunday, February 13th is a big day. And if you'd like to score points of your own, Monday, February 14th is even bigger. Order our Midnight Romance Special and have it delivered on Thursday or Friday of that week. It includes roses, Esther Price candy, and a bottle of wine. Order at firsttheflorist.com. That's F-U-R-S-T, theflorist.com. First Florist and Greenhouses, Dayton's largest family-owned florist and greenhouses at 1306 Troy Street since 1905. Order our Midnight Romance Special now.
Nothing protects your engine better than AMSOIL lubricants. Get ready for winter. Protect your investment. AMSOIL, the first in synthetic since 1972. Come out to Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North, Dayton Lakeview Road. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong. You're wrong. No, you're wrong.
It's time for hashtag Kinner was wrong. They will lose to Green Bay. They will win at Detroit. They will lose both their matchups with Baltimore. They will lose both their matchups with Cleveland. They will lose both their matchups with Pittsburgh. I have the Bengals going winless in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals have spent $250 million over the last 2 off seasons. You would think if you spend that much money, that's good enough to get you to maybe, I don't know, at least second in your division. They've spent all that money, and they're going to be last in the AFC North. That defense that they put all that money into this offseason, they're the 4th best defense in their own division. Again? Wrong? Again? His schedule is absolutely brutal, and just to set the tone, I do not have them finishing with only 3 wins, but it would not surprise me, and I think it says more about how tough the schedule is versus how bad the Bengals are, although I think it's going to be a balance of both. I don't think that this Bengals team is as good as what Bengals fans are hoping, but I'm just a hater. What do I know?
The Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU.
What is wrong with them? With the Cincinnati Bengals. Did they ever say the Browns being the Browns? That's the Bengals being the Bengals. Ouch. Wrong again.
Wrong. You're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because
they will get a division win. It'll be against the Steelers or the Ravens. It will not be against the Cleveland Browns. Unless my 13-win Cleveland Browns team in Week 17 is resting players and they basically hand the game to the Bengals, but that doesn't count as far as I'm concerned. This can't be life. You are wrong. Again. I keep seeing people in this comment section. Yeah, but Chase, they need Chase. He's going to be great. No. You want Chase. You don't need Chase. Because if you draft Chase with this offensive line, you don't have a quarterback to throw it to him. I mean, Brandon Allen, he's really going to appreciate you drafting a receiver for him to throw to the last half of the season. But you don't need a receiver.
Bruh, come on, Kinner.
Hashtag Kinner was wrong.
Very nice words, but happens to be wrong. Wrong.
Yeah. That sounds wrong a time or two. Not often.
Just 2 minutes worth.
And look how hard you had to look to find all that. Look how long it took you to finally find some clips of Kinner being wrong. I mean, I bet that was exhausting. I bet it made you feel bad about yourself too. You had to sift through all of the times that I was right. Continue to make you feel bad about yourself, and then you finally had that glimpse of self-confidence that kind of shined through you, and you finally found a couple clips of me being wrong.
Just a couple. Just
Just so we're clear, COVID and injuries. That's why my 13-win Browns team didn't take care of business. I'm just saying. Those are facts, not opinions. It's a fact.
Hang on to that belief. Hang on to it.
Oh my gosh, you guys in the chat, you guys are unbelievable. A lot of who days coming in. Who day? Josh Nichols, who day? Kenny Smith says we. Bengals fan saying who day. Browns fan Kenny Smith saying we day. Holy moly. Ron Broadstock says, look, Browns fans, Andy Dalton owned the Browns. Also, in true Michigan fan form, the Bengals lead the overall series. And that's fine. Like, the last thing on this, because you guys are continuing to keep me drawn in here. Browns don't pretend to be something they're not. Like, the Browns fans will tell you, yeah, we know we were bad. We know the Bengals have owned us. And I would hope that the Andy Dalton Bengals 5 straight playoff appearances, the playoff Bengals competing for division, I would hope you could beat some of the worst Browns teams in Browns history. I mean, I would hope. I mean, it's the least you got. I mean, the fact that you could beat up on the Browns, I would hope you could. I'd be alarmed if the Bengals didn't own the Browns during that stretch. So when the Browns, went 0-16, got Baker, 1-7, roster loaded up, full steam ahead, started winning games, started being in, all the national attention, all that. The jealousy of Bengals fans came bleeding through. Is very obvious. It's a weak personality trait. You guys should work on it. Browns fans don't do that. We've been very supportive of your playoff run. What?
Gotta go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
Oh, gosh, Browns fan Steve. We've been very supportive, but at the end of the day, this is a situation where I'm just like, you know what? Like, I would hope you could beat up on Cleveland. Cleveland was bad. I'm never going to try and soup up those Cleveland teams for decades as being anything but bad, but now they're good. Oh, but they make the playoffs this year. That's what happens when you get injured. You know what would happen this year if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon all got injured and missed a lot of games? You know what would happen? You wouldn't be playing right now. So congratulations. Healthier. It is what it is. I don't think the Bengals deserve to be where they're at right now. I like taking some shots, but they deserve to be where they're at. Actually pulling for them on Sunday, so let's just get that out of the picture. How much do you think that first game has anything to do with this game coming up on Sunday? Outside of confidence, I don't know if it does play a role at all. I know they're saying all the right things, that the crowd noise isn't going to be a factor, that Joe Burrow has played in some bigger SEC environments than what he's going to be part of. I don't think he said it that way. He didn't say that the SEC environments were better than the Kansas City environment, but in NFL environments in general, you're not experiencing SEC type environments on a weekly basis the way you do playing in SEC country. And that was a quote that he had made last year, by the way, during the draft. That's what I do get annoyed with, is like the Kansas City fans took a clip that was during like his rookie interviews or whatever, and then they took that, smeared it across social media as if he was talking smack, saying, I'm not fearing Arrowhead. That's nothing. I played in the SEC. That's great environments. No, he never said that. I'll actually defend him as far as
means
that's concerned.
more.
Yeah. No, context.
I think it's going to be different for the Cincinnati Bengals, because we have to remember the Chiefs have been here before. Yes, the Cincinnati Bengals are playing with house money right now, and a lot of people are pulling for them. And I know going into the game that the mantra is, why not us? We're worried about us. We're going in there worried about our own business. But there's something to be said about experience. And there's something to be said about being in this position to win the AFC Championship before. If the Cincinnati Bengals were able to pull this off, it would be a monumental upset, because not only does the Chiefs have the home field advantage, they have the experience advantage, not only on the player side, but the head coaching side as well. Don't forget, Andy Reid went to several NFC championship games, went to a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the third straight AFC championship with the Chiefs. He's been to Super Bowls with the Chiefs as well. So the experience that they have being able to prepare for this game is pretty hefty, leaning their side. Now, on the Bengals side, I think the game that the Kansas City Chiefs just won, even though the one that the Cincinnati Bengals played was very physical and everything like that, I think not only was the game the Chiefs won physical, but was definitely mental as well. And it was a 6:30 game on a Sunday, where the Cincinnati Bengals played at 4:30 on Saturday. So they have a little bit more rest time on the Cincinnati Bengals side. So take advantage of every opportunity you have. Take advantage of the fact that you have probably like about 12 to 13 hour head start over the Kansas City Chiefs to prepare for this game and everything like that. Who knows what Andy Reid did with them? Maybe he gave those guys 2 days off from practice to get their bodies back right and everything like that. Whereas the Cincinnati Bengals case, they probably had a chance not to do that because, hey, man, we played on Saturday. You took Sunday off. Let's get back to the office and breaking down tape and getting ready for the game starting on Monday before we fly out on Saturday and everything like that. So I think planning time-wise, Cincinnati has the advantage, but experience-wise, Kansas City has it. So it's going to be who handles that the best. I just think that experience factor for the Kansas City Chiefs is a bit too much for the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, 518-1410. That's the number to jump in on the conversation. So, I'm going to leave them in the chat alone. They're fighting amongst themselves. They're arguing about championships for Super Bowls. And
boy,
they're on their own. They you could fight amongst yourselves. But I want to switch gears here. Yesterday, we didn't even talk about the Hall of Fame at all yesterday with the Baseball Hall of Fame, mainly because, we knew we weren't going to know what the final vote or tally was until the end of the day. But Barry Bonds is not a Hall of Famer. Barry Bonds is not a Hall of Famer as we currently sit here right now. Again, after 10 years on the ballot, he did not get the 75% needed to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame into Cooperstown, obviously. And that's, a big talking point over the last couple of days. And, every year at this time, here's why I hate this time of year. Is because every year at this time of year, you hear the same talking points. I've used the same talking points for years. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, when it comes to Pete Rose. Like, they're just topics I can't stand talking about. Every year I use the same talking points. Every year it's the same argument. I watch First Take. I listen to national sports radio. I listen to local sports radio in various markets. And there will not be a take that you have never heard before when it comes to whether or not Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and the steroid era players should be in the Hall of Fame or not. You're not going to hear any new arguments.
Right.
And if you've had the same stance for your lifetime, basically, and you've never wavered on that, chances are some big soliloquy by Kinner is not going to sway you on your view of this to begin with. But at the end of the day, I look at this whole situation when it comes to Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and what have you, it's all petty because we're not talking about whether or not these guys are worthy of being in the Hall of Fame from a talent standpoint. We're talking about writers, human beings having the power with a pen to decide whether or not these guys who mastered their sport, who were good before steroids, obviously good with them, what have you, whatever your opinion on that is. Bottom line is, I think it's absolutely ridiculous in any sport to let an accolade as big as a Hall of Fame nod be put in the power of writers, who I respect writers. We've had plenty of writers on the show. Hopefully we'll continue to have writers on. Just depends, what they feel about this. But I don't get why, if I was a reporter, why I should have the power to dictate whether this person who has had such a great career, why do I deserve that power to put that person into a Hall of Fame? I think that's ridiculous. I mean, my ego, oh, man, I would think I am some big stuff if I had the ability. I get to play God here. I get to decide whether you get the Hall of Fame or not. That one time you were rude to me in the clubhouse, so I'm not going to give you the nod. Oh, that one time that, you talked bad about my writing because I called you out for something for not performing well. So since you don't like me, guess what, pal? I don't like you. You're not in the Hall of Fame. I find that stuff absolutely disgusting. I think that that's worse than any of the transgressions from the players that have put themselves in this position to be judged to begin with. Using steroids in baseball, yes, it's absolutely horrible that they took these performance-enhancing drugs to impact their stats, which plays such a huge role in the history of baseball. But here's the deal. We are talking about a situation that, we're over talking about whether it's right or wrong to use steroids.
Mm-hmm.
But every year it's something in baseball. Every decade it's something. It's trash can banging, sign stealing, gunk on baseballs, sports betting, gambling, all that. I'm tired of it. Baseball is its own worst enemy. But I'm here to tell you right now that I think at the end of the day, as long as Barry Bonds, if you look up who the home run leader is, there's Barry Bonds' name. You look up who the hit king is, there's Pete Rose right there. There's his name. There's his stats. They're not going anywhere. These stats exist. This is what I meant earlier by every year you get the same talking points. I've been having these same talking points forever now. As long as the stats exist, As long as when you look up the home run leaders in baseball, and there's Barry Bonds right up at the top, and there's Pete Rose right up at the top when it comes to hits, and you want to talk about the Cy Youngs when you talk about Roger Clemens, and you want to talk about all of the accolades for all of these guys, as long as those accolades exist, they exist. They matter. They happened. It doesn't matter how they happened. They happened. And if what they did to get there was so egregious, then why are those stats still there? Why have they not been revoked? Why have they not been pulled? Like, that's at the end of the day. I am not the smartest human being in the world, but I'm a little offended by the Hall of Fame voters for assuming that I'm too stupid to understand that Barry Bonds cheated. For instance, putting him in the Hall of Fame. Can't put him in there. He cheated. Yeah, but I could see that he's the home run leader. So you mean to tell me that I'm not smart enough to comprehend that the history of Barry Bonds? He's in the Hall of Fame as the home run leader. Like, I could understand why he's in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't mean that I'm worshiping this guy. I don't go to church to pray to Barry Bonds. Okay, I don't go to church to pray to Pete Rose or to Roger Clemens. You know, like, this isn't a cult. Like, this is just a Hall of Fame for what you do out on the field. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think that the writers themselves, the voters themselves, are hurting the sport more than the transgressions of the players themselves. By the reporters continuing to be stubborn, by the reporters continuing to stick to their guns, knowing that Barry Bonds, like, come on, it's not that freaking hard to understand that. Yes, the obviously, the steroids probably propped his stats a bit, but that's not why Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer. Barry Bonds, even if he was never the home run leader of all time, he was going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame talent. Steroids didn't help with hand-eye coordination. Steroids didn't help with his overall ability to be a baseball player. Is it wrong? Yes. Is he punished? Yes. I mean, he's never going to be viewed at or respected, or everyone look at him and say, man, that's a god right there. That's Mr. Baseball right there. No, his legacy is tarnished. And you think that by putting him in the Hall of Fame that his legacy would be revitalized by it? No, it's still Barry Bonds. He's still the home run king. I absolutely hate that his 10 years is up. He won't be a Hall of Famer. You know, the Pete Rose thing, I keep hearing people say Pete Rose deserves to be in more than he does. Every single one of these guys have made stupid decisions that have put him in the situation to not be in the Hall of Fame or to be judged to not be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care about, I'm not going to compare illegalities. I'm not going to compare about the severity of what Pete Rose did versus what Barry Bonds did versus Roger Clemens versus this. But the hypocrisy is what I cannot stand. The writers who are so against steroid usage. I can't vote for Barry Bonds. Who got inducted to who got elected yesterday? Who got picked yesterday?
Big Papi.
I believe he tested positive. He was one of 104 players that tested positive for steroids. Why is he in? Oh, because he's likable. Because he has that beautiful smile. He has that big booming personality. He walks in a room and he actually tells a reporter that his kid's cute, even though the kid's big nose and ugly as hell. Big Papi played the room. Big Papi told reporters how awesome they are. He shook hands and kissed babies. Big Papi did all the things that technically I guess you're supposed to. Big Papi's a Hall of Famer because he's nice. Barry Bonds is not a Hall of Famer because he was mean and did give a reporter an interview from time to time. That's bogus. That's the hypocrisy I'm talking about. These writers cannot sit here and die on the hill of, well, they cheated, they can't be in the Hall of Fame, all while putting Big Papi's ass in. That's the problem I have. I hate hypocrites. I hate the hypocrisy of the vote. I just don't think that it should come down to writers deciding whether players get into a Hall of Fame or not, especially when baseball continues to acknowledge their records, continues to acknowledge their numbers. That's why I have a huge problem with this, and I'm doing what I hate. I am bitching without a solution. I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think that non-athletes, guys who didn't play, should get to decide if this individual gets into a Hall of Fame or not. That's a huge problem for me. The fact that Barry Bonds will not be a Hall of Famer moving forward is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What's the purpose of the Hall of Fame? Now we talk about how the significance of these records means nothing. I heard Chris Russo today on First Take talking about how Barry Bonds is why the records mean nothing now. I'm like, no, the writers are why the record means nothing now. Because Barry Bonds, as far as I'm concerned, his numbers count. The home runs count. He's still at the top of the home run leader list, which means that's still a number that players can reach or that they can chase and that they can go after. Okay, but the reason that doesn't happen is not because of steroids, it's because players just aren't good enough. And that's even impressive enough because we're in the home run era. It's home run or nothing. That's what I find fascinating by all of this. I'm rambling now. I'm going to hand it off to Kev. But at the end of the day, I'm disgusted by this. I'm not pro cheating. I don't want the players to cheat. I think it's wrong that they cheated. But again, putting him in the Hall of Fame with the asterisks, doing whatever you got to do. But stop acting like fans are too stupid to understand the story of the players. Barry Bonds gets into the Hall of Fame, guess what? I understand his story. I know his story. I know that the asterisk next to it is because of all of the steroid scandals and everything. And by the way, Barry Bonds never tested positive for steroids. Let's just get that out of the way now. Let's just be clear on that. Big Papi actually tested positive for steroids, but because he smiles, kisses babies, shakes hands, tells you you're awesome, tweets reporters, does all that fun stuff, he was more likable. David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame and Barry Bonds is not. I think that's a joke. By the way, I like that Big Papi's in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame, but the fact that he's in and Barry Bonds isn't for basically doing the same thing that Big Papi tested positive for, I have a huge problem with it. I think it's wrong. This whole thing is just disgusting, if you ask me.
This is all on the commissioners that were in charge of baseball at the time. They never nipped it in the bud because technically steroids weren't illegal. Technically, they weren't.
Yeah.
So that's on whoever was the commissioners at the time. I know Bud Selig was a commissioner of baseball at the time. I don't know who was the commissioner before him. The only two dudes that I know that were commissioners of baseball is the current dude and Bud Selig. Those are only two dudes that I know that were commissioners of baseball. But it's on them to set the pace and set the rules and enforce them. And if this is going to be the new outcome, then if you want to stricken their numbers from the record, you're the commissioner. You have the power to do so. As far as Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and those guys that are no longer going to be on the 10-year ballot, it's difficult because those guys were Hall of Fame players before they blew up and got all muscular and everything like that. I remember when Bonds played with the Pirates, like he was thin as a rail and still was jacking home runs and was a great center fielder and all that type of stuff and making all these great plays in the outfield. So I understand that. My solution to this would be every era of baseball has stuff in it, stuff that the sport should be ashamed of, but it's still in the Hall of Fame because it's a historic museum, basically. So you had your dead ball era, live ball era, integration, you had expansion, free agency, and the steroid era. These dudes are going to be recognized as having the records, then put them in. And maybe they're not invited to have a speech. Maybe you put the asterisks up there and people say, what's the asterisk about? It read on the bottom, this player had tested positive for steroids. This player was alleged or something with steroids. And they don't get the joy of bringing their family and unveiling themselves, showing their bust with their hat on and everything like that. Maybe they're not invited to those type of ceremonies and everything like that.
Yeah, big old syringe next to him. Maybe.
But I do think players like a Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, my brother gave me this, so I'm stealing this for him. I think they will be in the Hall of Fame. I just don't think they'll be alive to see it.
Which that's what I mean by like that's vindictive. If you know at the end of the day that at some point these guys will get in, and as a writer, this power play of, oh, look how much power it's just weird and creepy, the power that they just like to show off. Like, come on, you don't have a justifiable reason why you don't want to. No, they cheated. You voted for Big Papi, so what's your point?
So what do you have a bigger problem with? The baseball writers not voting them in, or the NFL not voting T.O. in on the first ballot?
I mean, I don't know how they overlap, I guess, but like, I just think that it's not so much about the Hall of Fame. It's just about the process of the Hall of Fame. I mean, too much power is in the hands of the writers. Mm-hmm. Too much power. Imagine if I was a reporter forever and I had a Hall of Fame vote. I mean, that player, he was always nice to me. He always shook my hand when he saw me. Oh yeah, he always made eye contact. I hear a reporter say he was always very respectful. He always had kept eye contact. He'd reach out to check on me from time to time. Okay, what does that have to do with what they do on the field?
Right.
Because I don't care if they're nice to you. They don't have to like you. They're paid millions of dollars not to like you. They're paid millions of dollars to talk to you. They don't have to be happy doing it. But like, I can't stand this. I really don't. Like, I'm not even a big Barry Bonds fan, but like, a few weeks ago, the reason I'm irritated by this is like football is thriving right now, not because of the players on the field, but the players that aren't on the field anymore. The fact that they're doing this Manning cast, and why are they doing it? Because they have these legendary figures that aren't tarnished, that are just known and beloved for their great careers on the field. So it's easy to bring in a Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. When Tom Brady retires, it's going to be amazing bringing Tom Brady back. I mean, the Bengals do about as good a job of any organization as I know of having basically spokespeople for their organization. Like, your Anthony Munoz's, obviously your Ickey Woods. The list goes, Gary Burley. I mean, there's so many great Bengals that live close, that don't live close, but they're constantly out there repping their team. Why? Because it's just the NFL is healthy. And there's a lot of bad guys that make bad decisions off the field. But like when you see those players, you right away associate it with what they did on the field, with what the team did on the field. There's that healthy relationship. Baseball doesn't have that. You know, the NFL can go to so many star players to bring them in to fill up these analyst shows that have personalities, that have stars, that bring some kind of credibility to the coverage, to the shows, to the fun, to the, you know what I mean? Baseball doesn't have that. Every time you want to talk about former great players of baseball, there's always just some kind of weird thing going on that, like, we're not the Houston Astros. They're as close to a dynasty in this past decade that we've experienced, but will we ever get to celebrate the Houston Astros dynasty in decades to come? No. Because they will always be linked with the cheating, with the sign stealing, with the trash can banging, right? Pitchers who have had success over the last decade. Will we ever get to truly appreciate what they've been able to? No, because it wasn't until 2021 where baseball finally said, hey, you know all those illegal substances that we told you you're not allowed to use while holding the ball? Yeah, now we're finally going to enforce that rule. You're no longer allowed to do that. So it's like everything is always going to have like a tarnished reputation. The Hall of Famers. Imagine if you could have had Sammy Sosa do some of these network shows. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Ken Griffey Jr. And Ken Griffey's not even caught up in all that, by the way. But my point is baseball has lost decades of stars because they're tarnished, because of the era that they played in. Even if you never tested positive during the steroid era, you still played during the steroid era, you're tarnished.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was what I have a problem with. This last decade, the Houston Astros, they're such a fun story. Not anymore, though, because they're tarnished. These are young. The Houston Astros are horrible, Kev, for years. They drafted these players. They developed these players. This should have been a story to give hope to organizations like the Cincinnati Reds and others of draft right, develop right. You have a chance. You have a chance to go at the big boys. Now it's, oh, no, that's why they won. They cheated. They cheated. I'm tired of it. That's all baseball is. It's one scandal after another. The only time we talk baseball is if we're talking about our local team an hour from here, or if we're talking about the next big cheating scandal. It's the only time. The NFL, we'll talk football 365 days a year because it's healthy. Fans love it. They're superstars. They gravitate towards baseball. They don't wear masks. They don't have anything covering their face. You should be able to relate to them and see them. You should recognize them when they're on the streets. You can't do any of that. There's all these blackouts. You can't watch the games here. You can't watch the games there. You can't listen to it here. There's this rule here. Baseball works harder to put up roadblocks for their viewers and their fans than any other sport out there. I hate baseball right now. I'm sick of it. And I'm a huge baseball fan. I know I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I'm disappointed in baseball as a whole. I know it's not Major League Baseball. This is a separate entity, but it all plays a role in this. There's always going to be these scandals that are going to have these writers in a position to not give you credit for what you do on the field. And unless baseball vacates these records, vacates wins, vacates championships and home run records and hit records, unless baseball does that, you should be in. Because as long as those numbers count, that's what you should be judged on. It should not be easier to get into heaven than it should be the Baseball Hall of Fame. That is a joke.
It's sad. It's sad because the guys, they went out there and bust their hump and did it. But there's definitely other guys out there that weren't using steroids, and they are lumped into this too. That's what makes it even worse. You know, guys that did play it straight up and everything like that, and they potentially could be on that block to say, well, I don't know if he did or didn't. I mean, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. You know, so there's going to be a ton of guys that, you know, we grew up on watching that we just automatically knew they were going to the Hall of Fame and it's going to be a cut case. But now we don't know that. Like Roger Clemens, he ain't in. Barry Bonds, he ain't in. You know, these are surefire guys that we thought were going to the Hall of Fame. Sammy Sosa, he's never going to get in. And, you know, as far as them getting in eventually and possibly after they're dead and gone, you know, the reason I say that they're going to get in once they're no longer with us is because eventually the new writers, they're not going to care about that. I don't think the new writers are going to be bringing those old antiquated ways with them to the new voting stage. I think those writers that are still holding on to those grudges, I think they're no longer going to be with us either. And I think eventually all that's going to pass along with them. And then eventually these quote unquote wrongs will be righting.
And here's the other deal that, like, stop pretending that they cheated the game. That's why we don't want them in. If a player has a political entity that they support that you don't like, they're not getting it. Kurt Schilling. I don't care what your opinion is of Kurt Schilling, the person. I think we could all agree who Kurt Schilling is as the player.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of freaking Famer. Oh, no. He supported Donald Trump, so we can't put him in the Hall of Fame. Ugh, that's dumb. Like that is proof right there that these writers are not able to separate it's not professional. And I'm not going to lump all the writers into one pile here, because it's not there's really, really good writers who do it the right way, but there's clearly too many bad writers that have basically kind of, handicapped this whole process. I mean, Kurt Schilling is a Hall of Famer, and he won't be a Hall of Famer because why? Oh yeah, he's a Trump guy, so we can't put him in the Hall. What does that have to do with anything here? What does that have to do? Stick to sports. Well, where are you stick to sports people when it comes to why Kurt Schilling's not in the Hall of Fame? Kurt Schilling, that was one of my most favorite memories growing up. I'm not a Yankees or a Red Sox fan, but everyone knows that game, right? And that's not why he should be in the Hall of Fame, because of the bloody sock game. But the point is just one of those things where
moments matter.
One of my first World Series I remember watching as a kid was actually the Diamondbacks and the Yankees, when you had the Randy Johnson and the Kurt Schilling and the Luis Gonzalez walk-off win. I mean, that was one of my first memories as a kid, sitting down to watch a full World Series from game one to the very end. And he was always one of my favorite players. In fact, met him in Chicago years ago. Some friends and I, we went down to watch the Cubs and Cardinals. It was opening night. And that was when, Tim Kirkshin and Aaron Boone and Kurt Schilling, in fact, got to go back there, meet Aaron Boone, meet Tim Kirkshin, and Kurt Schilling came up. It was a lot of fun. That's not why I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm just saying, yes, I mean, it was really cool growing up watching him and getting to meet him. But to me, forget that if I met him or not, the fact that he's having his political stance be used against him is absolutely ridiculous. That proves right there how unprofessional this whole process is. And I don't care what side of the political spectrum you fall on. All right. I lean more the opposite way of where he leans. Do you think that I don't give a rip about that? I'm not going to have my stance on, well, you know what? He's one of them damn Republicans. I don't want him in the Hall of Fame. No, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And that's what's happening here. Bagwell, another one, right? He's in. So I just don't understand any of this. It's really frustrating. So there you go.
There's never a clear way about how to do a baseball Hall of Famer, because you got guys that have played so long and their stats say they should be a Hall of Famer because they've compiled so many stats because they played so long. So, all right, man, well, he reached this threshold, he reached that threshold, he's a Hall of Famer because he played so long. Well, I don't look at it that way. I look at your impact on the game. I look at how you help your team win and everything like that. And there's no doubt about it, how a lot of these guys help their teams not only win regular season games, playoffs games, and, the World Series, that all that stuff matters. And, unfortunately, it's always going to be like this in every sport that has people voting on it. Because we're never going to be happy, because when we talk about the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, people say, oh, he's not a Hall of Famer. They're letting everybody in. And then in baseball, they're not letting him in because of his political beliefs, or they're not letting him in because of steroids. And in the NFL, it's kind of like 50-50, like I talked about with the T.O. situation. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that T.O. is a Hall of Famer, but they made him wait a year because T.O. was unlikable. So you're right. These people that vote on this stuff, they have a hard time separating what happens between the lines in the field of play. That is what you're voting on. I don't think that a lot of this, because these aren't even morality things. This isn't, someone guilty of crimes of, God forbid, beating their wives or robbing a bank or something like that. These are just people being a-holes.
Yep.
There's nothing against the law about being an a-hole. If you're an a-hole, you're an a-hole. But do you do your job well? Because
you're allowed to be an a-hole if you do your job well.
Yeah. T.O. definitely did his job well. Barry Bonds did his job well.
That's why Antonio Brown will continue to get opportunities, because he does his job well. Until his numbers start declining, that's why T.O., everyone brought him on. Everyone considered him a locker room cancer, but he kept going from one team to the next, to the next, to the next, until he stopped producing. And then all of a sudden, the juice isn't worth the squeezing.
I think his last year, he still went over 1,000.
Everyone acts like he was a throwaway but that year he was with Cincinnati. He was very good that year for Cincinnati. In fact, The only NFL game I've ever been to was, or my very first NFL game I ever went to, Ravens-Bengals years and years ago, and it was to watch Chad Johnson and Terrell Owens. I am not a Bengals fan, just to be clear. I'm just saying. So there you go.
Last year in the league, 2010 with the Cincinnati Bengals, 72 receptions, 983 yards. The year before that, he played
1,000 yards.
No, not 1,000 yards.
The
year before that, one season with Buffalo, 55 receptions for 829 yards, 5 touchdowns. So there you go.
518-1410, 518-1410. Enough of our thoughts on this. I'm curious your thoughts as we close out the show. The Baseball Hall of Fame, no Barry Bonds, no Roger Clemens. And by the way, I got a lot of really good, responses on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page about this earlier today. I just found this whole thing fascinating because mainly, I'm not saying that I approve of everything that has happened with the steroid usage and with everything like that. But you got to understand at the time, sure, they weren't allowed to use steroids, but they weren't testing for it. It's not like Major League Baseball was coming down hard on guys for this. They were, it was just like there's a lot of rules in place. Like, for instance, you're not allowed to be putting that goop on the ball. That's been a rule forever. But they just now started coming down hard on doing these checks and everything like that. Like the times have changed. But I put this on Facebook earlier today that baseball is nothing but one big scandal after another. The scandals always seem to involve the biggest teams and the stars. Baseball continues to wipe away its history due to these scandals. And at some point, these writers need to realize that their petty moral stance, it's actually hurting the game more than the actual transgressions of the players themselves. The same game that these writers have made money off of, made careers off of, they're the ones killing it now. They're the ones killing it. You're hurting the exact same sport that you fell in love with, that you made money off of, that you write for, that you've covered. And this weird moral stance you have about the steroid usage. And by the way, there are some writers who do it the right way, who are against the cheating, and that's why they don't have him in. But then there's others that, I just don't want him in because he was a jerk to me. That I'm not cool with. 518-1410. Phone lines are open. We'll be back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear and cold, a high near 20. Tonight's going to be clear and cold, a low near 10. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 33. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches, weakness, or discomfort in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 selling nerve care company. Nervive contains alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, and B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live your life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com.
Gentlemen, now you can find the best brands and fits for you without even trying. Just follow these easy instructions. Step 1. Shop a personalized store that does all the work for you by customizing a selection for your taste and body. Step 2. Level up your closet with the best brands and fits with little to no effort. Not trying has never looked so good. Introducing Stitch Fix Freestyle, your personalized store. We're so you.
Don't go through another year without awful joint pain. Now there's an exciting new treatment available here using natural biologics, regenerative solutions that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints. Hey, it's Keith Byers. I'm talking about QC Kinetics, now open here. QC Kinetics is a nation leader in non-surgical regeneration, highly concentrated natural biologics that can give you lasting relief. If you have pain in your knees, back, shoulders, hips, and you're tired of steroids, pain meds, and talk of major surgery, this is a treatment you've been hoping for. Call the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. Learn about how natural biologics can be used to get you moving again, pain-free. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call QC Kinetics now, 937-936-0325. That number again is 937-936-0325.
Skyways are back at Skyline for a very limited time. Now through February 6th, order a Skyway and get 50% extra cheese at no extra charge on regular and large ways. At participating Skylines only. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. Our technicians have over 125 years of total experience. That means we can repair your vehicle correctly and efficiently. So when you need a dependable body shop, we're here. And we repair all makes and models with new state-of-the-art equipment to get you back on the road quickly. Plus, we offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Stop by and see us. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations, serving the greater Dayton and Cincinnati area, is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase. Visit on Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com and upgrade today.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting, serving this area's tax and accounting needs for over 80 years. Tax season is here. We invite you to discover how we can make your tax filing experience easier. Our professional staff assures your return is accurate with maximum use of legitimate deductions. Since our founding, we have been trusted because of our knowledge of the tax code and for standing behind your return if the IRS calls. Contact us at 937-325-6571. Information at lairdstax.com.
Menards carries the largest in-stock selection of appliances. Discover the Criterion Advantage with a pair of laundry appliances with great features, great quality, and a great price. The top-load washer has 8 preset cycles and can handle family-size laundry loads. The dryer is equipped with Wrinkle Prevent and Sensor Dry, which automatically stops cycles when clothes are dry, saving time and money. They're $449 each after $100 mail-in rebate. See store for details. Prices good through February 6th.
Save big money at Menards. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you are looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty a call today, 937-572-7425. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. And, of course, a shout-out to Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street, another sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Excited to be hanging out with you here this afternoon. As we close out the show again, we're talking about Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and some of the biggest stars in baseball's history. You know, you go through the museum, you go through the Hall of Fame, and where's the home run? Well, you know, who's the guy that has hit the most home runs? Well, he's not here. Who's the guy with the most hits? Nope, sorry, son.
But his bat and cleats are there.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm sorry, you're right. Technically, their presence is there. You know, just enough to be able to make some money. But you know, and again, this goes back to my point that, you know, when you talk about this every year, a lot of the same talking points are used every year. You know, that Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he started using steroids. That's, you know, they didn't start testing for steroids until the early 2000s, and that, you know, everybody was doing it, and that baseball profited off of it. They should not be so hypocritical on this, and no one's wrong. Everyone's right. And on the other side, so we're just supposed to praise these cheaters? I see your point too. I get it. Like, you know what I mean, Kev? Like, I get it. I'm not saying that no one ever cheats in football. I'm sure that they don't have as strict drug policies as others, or at least they do, but not when it comes to testing. That's the difference. Like, steroids had always, I don't know about always, I don't remember the exact timeline, but steroids had been banned in baseball for years until they started doing the mandatory testing.
Right.
It was adding, it's kind of like, you know, it's like COVID. If you just stop testing, you won't have a problem. Baseball didn't have a testing, or baseball didn't have a steroid problem until they started testing for it, right? Like, that's what the problem is. But in all seriousness, nobody's wrong here. For everyone out there that believes that they shouldn't be, and I agree with you 1,000,000%. I understand your stance on cheaters should not be in the Hall of Fame. However, I also am in favor of, more so on my side, of about the fact that, you know, as long as their numbers still exist, They never omitted their stats. They never, they didn't go at Barry Bonds' home run numbers and say, well, we're going to omit the last 350 home runs because we believe around this time you started using them. This is when your head grew 3 to 4 head sizes from one year to the next. So we assume you started right about here. So we're just going to omit these last 350 home runs from They didn't do that.
Right.
They didn't omit all the hits that Pete Rose had. They didn't, you take away Cy Young's. I mean, at least in college athletics, by the way, at least they took the Heisman Trophy away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They took the Heisman Trophy away from those guys. Like, at least they try to say, hey, your wins are taken away. Your championships are taken away. Your Heisman trophies are taken away, Kev. Like, I don't like that, but I at least like that they do that. Like, hey, you got caught cheating. So as part of your punishment, we are taking away those wins. Those wins don't exist anymore. I find college punishments to be kind of stupid, but I like that. Baseball didn't do that. Baseball didn't take wins away from the Giants for every game that Barry Bonds played during that stretch. We're taking wins away from you. We're taking the World Series appearance that you had, the title game. Nope, didn't exist. You never played there because you had Barry Bonds. I'm just tired of this stuff. Like they didn't do any of that. It's in the history books.
The NCAA's rules about taking wins away from programs and coaches is just stupid because they take away the wins, but they don't take away the losses that they had that season from the coach. The losses remain on their record.
That is so funny. I never thought of that.
And
really?
Yeah, their
losses
remain on their and the teams that you beat, they keep the losses on their records too. So I've
never really thought about, I've never unraveled that whole process that much. So, wow.
Yeah.
So USC, you beat Ohio State, but we're taking that win away. So does that loss for Ohio State turn into a win?
No,
then?
it's still a loss.
Oh, wow.
So it just doesn't. That's why I'm not in favor of that.
It's the concept of it, though. At the very least, they're saying, hey, you cheated, so all those wins don't count while you cheated. And I don't like that they do that, but they do it. And at least it's consistent, I guess, if you will, to where baseball's like, man, you cheated with all those home runs. That's it. You're punished. So you can take those home runs away? Well, no, because we got to promote him as the home run king. We got to be able to use him in commercials, and we got to use him to sell, memorabilia. We got to use him to do all that. They're hypocrites. Again, I hate hypocrisy. I don't like bad decision-making. I think that the NCAA, they're full of it. But you know what? They take wins away. Hey, you recruited, you had all these recruiting violations, you cheated. Guess what? All those wins, they don't count for that recruiting class because, you shouldn't have had those wins because you shouldn't have that recruiting class. I understand the concept of it. They don't execute it properly, but I understand the concept of it. This baseball thing, I just don't. 518-1410. Kev, who we have?
We got Chicken Chuck online too.
Chicken Chuck. How are you, my friend?
Justin, how the heck are you, brother?
I'm surprised you're in a good mood. I made you wait for a while. I didn't know it was the Chicken
That's all right,
Chuck.
man.
I would have made you wait longer.
Hey, listen. You're a funny guy. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, man. That's all I got to say. Is Gaylord Perry in the Hall of Fame?
We all know exactly the examples you're about to use. Exactly.
No, but I don't want to call to bring that up. But you're on a nice little rant there, so I finish it off. But hey, Who Day, first of all, and second, if you remember last year asking about same name players on the team, and I told you Joe and Joe this year, and you laughed at me, brother.
I laughed at a lot of people, Chuck. I laughed at a lot of people.
Come on, man, give it up, Joe and Joe. But hey, honestly, in all honesty, if the Bengals play defense Sunday the way they played the second half of the first game, they're going to be okay. Defense is going to either win or lose this game for them. That's my thought. But is it just me, or do you think the Bengals are getting more conservative in the playoffs than they in the regular season?
Most teams do. Most teams do get a little bit more conservative, especially on the coaching front. Zach Taylor, he learned his lesson against San Francisco. Remember when he said, okay, I got to just unleash and just take the chains off and let Joe Burrow be Joe Burrow. And they were, after that loss to the Niners, they've looked like a completely different team since that point because they unleashed. But I thought they got a little conservative, obviously, this past weekend against the Titans. And I think that, when you're in those tight game situations, you start being a little hesitant. The The one thing, though, against the Chiefs, if it becomes a shootout, they played loose against the Chiefs last time. There was no, I didn't sense that young team was intimidated by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I just hope that the tough road environment and the fact that they're a game away from the Super Bowl, this is really where we're going to learn about Joe Burrow as far as where he's at in his development, because if this moment's not too big for him, there will never be a moment too big for him moving forward. So I think that that's going to be key. But you're right. You can't be conservative against Kansas City. You won't have a shot at that point. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely not, man. I'm with you 100% there, and I think that's part of the reason he got sacked 9 times Saturday.
Yeah,
he's
some of those I didn't. People were mad that he didn't throw them away, and I'm like, well, sometimes he didn't even have enough time to blink. So I didn't blame him for all of them, but they're bad.
But yeah, all right. Well, hey, Houday, man, go ahead and hope you eat crow come Sunday, brother.
I've been eating crow all week. I need some of that.
Forget the crow, eat chicken, all right?
Now, listen, I need, I've been eating crow so much. I need that Buckeye bucket, but I need some of that Lee's famous recipe crow to kind of at least make it taste better, because, I need... Holy moly!
I'll bring you some chicken to the studio tomorrow. How's that, man?
Oh, that sounds excellent. Actually, that sounds really good. So there you go.
I'll take care of you. Take care of you and Kev tomorrow. All right.
Nice.
For that, I say Houday. For that, I say Houday.
Houday.
Take care,
guys. Take care, man. All right, later.
518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Unfortunately, out of time today. Thank you so much. And by the way, for those of you who missed it, Steve from Springboro was on one today. I ended the show with the Houday, but Steve from Springboro, he's a Browns fan. He was just a little fired up, a little upset, a little angry. He does the Browns bark every time he calls in. A Bengals fan said he had to bark like a poodle. This was his response.
Got to go to work, dude. And that ain't no poodle bark, punk asses.
He's a little upset. He's a little upset, Kev. That's just
a little bit.
Just a little bit. All right, folks, have a great night. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC Championship game, an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. How cool is that? The Bengals one game away after 31 years of not being able to get a playoff victory. They've already had 2 playoff victories in the last couple of weeks, and the third one will send them to a Super Bowl for the first time in decades. How cool will that be, even for someone like me? So there you go. But appreciate all the calls. Appreciate everyone that tuned in and hung out with us today on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you head to Facebook, follow, and search The Justin Kinner Show. Follow, subscribe to ESPN Dayton YouTube channel, and we'll do this again tomorrow. Until tomorrow, it's The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, and, of course, Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Have a good night.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lake shores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
the fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of North and South Dakota,
we are here for our hometowns.
And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of